between Mo City and Tianjin City. There's a main road that goes directly there, but because it traverses a vast expanse of mountainous forest regions, even walking on the thoroughfare is far from safe. One might encounter fierce beasts ready to launch an attack at any moment, or bandits lying in wait who survive by ambushing and murdering travelers, compelling one to be on guard. But these dangers are relatively manageable. With a bit of caution, one generally has the opportunity to save their own life. If one inadvertently encounters a demonic beast that happens to be in the area, that is truly a dire situation. Even for merchant associations, there's a high likelihood of complete annihilation, with members becoming fodder for the demonic beasts. Not long after Lin Jing and San left Mo City, some people from the merchant associations inquired if they needed companionship. Traveling with a merchant association naturally requires paying them a fee for protection along the way. However, with Lin Jing present, there was no need for any protection, so he flatly refused. After Lin Jing turned down the merchant association's people, under their astonished gazes, he set off on the main road toward Tianjin City with San in tow. Since leaving Yinling town, San felt everything on this road was novel, showing bountiful excitement. Thus, the two of them pressed on, and nothing untoward happened all the way until they entered the forest. By the time they reached the woodland area, it was midday, and San was a bit tired, so the two of them sat down by the roadside for a rest. At this moment, it also happened to be time for a meal. So, after resting for a short while, Lin Jing instructed San to gather some dry firewood nearby, while he himself entered the forest in search of game. As a nascent soul cultivator, he could detect any movement in the forest with his divine sense. Catching game was effortless for him. In just a moment, Lin Jing found 2 wild chickens and easily captured them. San had only gathered a small pile of firewood by then, which was far from enough. As a result, Lin Jing also located a water source and skillfully cleaned the wild chickens. When Lin Jing returned after preparing the chickens, San had already collected enough firewood and, on a protruding stone on the roadside slope, had set up a frame for roasting the chickens. San had often mingled in the forest before and was quite proficient in such skills. When Lin Jing returned, San promptly took the chickens and started the fire to roast the wild birds. As time slowly passed, the 2 plump chickens gradually turned golden brown under the flames, and the scent of roasted meat began to waft through the air. At that moment, Lin Jing took out the seasonings he had prepared in advance and evenly sprinkled them on the chickens. After adding the seasonings, the aroma became much more intense, directly assaulting their nostrils. At the scent, San's stomach involuntarily began to gurgle with hunger, and San, staring intently at the chickens, continuously swallowed his saliva, eyes gleaming. Just then, from behind the path they had taken, noises approached, and San, puzzled, looked back. He saw a convoy with several horse-drawn carriages slowly making their way along the road behind them. The troop consisted of several carriages, and atop them were big boxes that presumably contained cargo. Moreover, the men leading the way looked strong and robust. Clearly, this was a delivery convoy from a merchant association. As they were too far apart, San couldn't see clearly and didn't pay much attention. Instead, he lowered his head to continue turning the chickens over on the fire. San might not have seen clearly, but Lin Jing had a very clear view. The man walking at the forefront of the merchant troop was the same man from the Yu Family Merchant Association they had met at the tavern days ago. Moreover, the carriages of the merchant troop bore the Yu family emblem. It seemed that this troop indeed belonged to the Yu Family Merchant Association. At that moment, 2 sounds of objects tearing through the air arose from the front of the road, getting louder as they approached. Lin Jing immediately turned his head to look down the road ahead. He saw 2 cultivators flying on their swords towards them from the front, both exhibiting a chi refinement mid-stage level of cultivation. The cultivators rushed past Lin Jing and San, and San, feeling their passage, looked up in time to see them fly by. The flying cultivators paid no mind to Lin Jing and San, clearly deeming them mere mortals unworthy of attention. The duo flew ahead and came to halt before the Yu family convoy, looking down from their elevated position. The convoy fell silent, everyone looking up at the two cultivators, even the Yu family man who had once met Lin Jing and San now displaying a troubled expression. One of the cultivators spoke up. "Ah, the Yu Family Merchant Association, I see no mistake." The Yu family man stepped out from the troop, cupped his hands, and addressed the two cultivators. "Esteemed immortals, may I ask why you seek out our Yu Family Merchant Association? Is there something we can help you with?" The cultivator above scoffed, looking down at the man, and declared, "Enough with the pleasantries. I know that among the goods you transport this time, there's a rare second-rank spirit plant called Moon Crow Root. Hand over the Moon Crow Root, and I'll spare your life. Otherwise, none in this entire convoy will be spared." Upon hearing this, the man's complexion grew even worse, and those in the ranks behind him were equally terror-stricken, involuntarily retreating a few steps. The man faced the two cultivators above him, but dared not make the slightest inappropriate move, and was forced to stiffen his resolve and speak again. "To immortals, the Moon Crow Root was entrusted to us for protective escort. This matter is critical to the survival of our Yu family commerce, and if it's lost, I'm afraid our entire Yu family commerce might face annihilation. How about this? I have 10 spirit stones here. I'll give them to both immortals as a small token for you to enjoy a cup of tea." However, before the man could finish, one of the cultivators interrupted him. 10 spirit stones. Do you think we're beggars you could just brush off? The Moon Crow Root is worth at least 300 spirit stones. I'll say this once, hand over the Moon Crow Root. If you don't blame me for being impolite." As he finished speaking, an impressive aura burst forth from the man, pressing down on the people of the commerce below, causing many to tremble uncontrollably. Even the horses pulling the carts began to act anxious and restless. At this moment, the other cultivator seemed to be growing impatient. "Brother Yuan, why waste words with them? They're just mortals. Just kill them, and a fire later would erase all traces, guaranteed." As soon as these words were spoken, more panic spread among the caravan people behind, and even the man in front turned pale. Looking at the attitude of the two cultivators, it seemed they left no room for negotiation and even intended to eliminate them all. Just at this tense moment, an aged yet powerful voice came from the back of the caravan. "Is this really what the Yuan family wants, to obliterate my Yu family?" Accompanying this voice was an even more formidable aura. On sensing the newcomer's presence, the faces of the two cultivators changed slightly, as the aura was clearly much stronger than theirs. The newcomer was at least at the latter stages of chi refinement. Upon hearing this voice, the man in front visibly relaxed. The man turned back and looked towards the rear, a hint of excitement on his face. "Dad, why are you here?" At that moment, the caravan parted to make way in the middle. Walking slowly down that path in the center were two individuals. One of them appeared old and hunched, showing signs of age, but the aura he exuded was not to be underestimated. It was quite apparent this was the person who had spoken. The other person was the same young girl that Lin Jing and his companion had encountered in the tavern. San only realized who she was upon seeing her. "Master, it's her." Lin Jing nodded and said, "I know." At this time, the young girl, supporting the elder, slowly made her way to the front of the caravan. The two cultivators had already descended from midair, their flying swords suspended, fully alert. "Cough, cough." The elder couldn't help but cough twice, and the girl at his side quickly spoke with concern. "Grandfather, are you all right?" The man, who was the young girl's third uncle, also promptly approached, wanting to support the elder. Seeing this, the two cultivators exchanged glances, and then one of them spoke. "Yuan, with the injuries you have, you're nearly at your last breath. Do you still intend to stop us? If you dare to act today, I'm afraid you won't make it through the day." The elder, however, raised a hand to stop the man from coming closer, then shrugged off the young girl and stood up straight, to face the two cultivators. Even in my current injured state, I could still kill the both of you on the spot. Do you believe it or not? The two faced the elder and fell silent for a moment. Obviously, even wounded, the elder was still able to deter the two cultivators from making a move. However, Lin Jing was not paying attention to any of this. When he heard the cultivator call out the elder's name, Lin Jing was taken aback for a moment. Then he extended his divine sense and scanned the elder. All three, the two cultivators and the elder, were only at the Qi refinement realm. Even as Lin Jing's divine sense swept over them, they were none the wiser. Next, Lin Jing's divine sense focused on the elder. Although the elder's appearance had changed a lot, and he was visibly aged, it was not hard to recognize that he was Yuan, who had once been an offering priest at the Yuebao Tower in Nanshan Immortal City, just like him. Back then, Yuan was close to a pill master surnamed Wang, but they went their separate ways due to a difference in principles. And when this pill master Wang had colluded with Lu Yuan to deal with him, Yuan had even sent him a warning. Originally, Yuan was supposed to be at the Foundation establishment stage, but it was unclear why he had now fallen to the latter stages of Qi refinement. As Lin Jing's divine sense continued to scan Yuan, the situation on the field changed once more. I don't believe it. At that moment, another voice came from the front of the path. Upon hearing this voice, everyone, including Lin Jing and Shi San, looked towards the front of the path. Before them on the road, another white-haired cultivator approached, riding a flying sword. As the cultivator flew in, he did so with utmost arrogance, his cultivation aura not the least bit concealed. Yuan, I thought you'd be holed up in Mo City forever. I didn't expect you to actually come out. This person had barely arrived before he began to mock Yuan. Upon hearing this voice, Yuan's expression immediately changed. Yuan Bo, I didn't expect you to be alive, let alone to have broken through to the Foundation establishment stage. Yuan Bo was another name that had been buried in the dust of the past. Lin Jing couldn't help but be dumbfounded, thinking to himself, what are the chances? Afterward, Lin Jing's divine sense swept over Yuan Bo once again. This time, it took Lin Jing a while to recognize him. The white-haired cultivator at the early stage of Foundation establishment was none other than Yuan Bo, one of the main culprits for his expulsion from the Qingyuan sword sect. He had thought that Yuan Bo would never reach Foundation establishment in his lifetime, and that he himself would not cross paths with him again. Yet, against all odds, Yuan Bo had truly reached Foundation establishment. And what's more, Lin Jing found himself reunited with him under these circumstances. This person was originally a spirit farmer of the Qingyuan sword sect, but for reasons unknown, he was not with the Qingyuan sword sect, but somehow appeared here. Lin Jing was somewhat puzzled, but even more than that, he was quite interested. Lin Jing was very curious about what grievances existed between Yuan and Yuan Bo. Then, Lin Jing stretched out his hand, taking hold of Shi San, and then stepped forward. The next moment, the two of them appeared out of nowhere on a mountaintop opposite where the two parties were confronting each other. The sudden appearance of several cultivators left Shi San dumbstruck, and when Lin Jing reached out to pull him, Shi San instinctively extended his hand too. What they didn't expect was that from the roadside forest, the two of them suddenly appeared near the mountaintop where the confrontation was taking place. And they appeared so abruptly that no one noticed them, not even the cultivators present. Of course, the reason no one paid attention to them was that Lin Jing did not wish to intervene just yet. He preferred to listen in on the situation, and therefore, he had used some subtle techniques to avoid detection. As Shi San was puzzled, Lin Jing then spoke to him. It's okay. Your roasted chicken is cooked now. You can eat. Go ahead with your meal. They can't see us. Shi San immediately understood that all this was Lin Jing's doing. So, he no longer cared and started to devour the freshly roasted wild chicken. After Yuan Bo arrived, he sized up Yuan with a light laugh. Haha. Yuan, I heard you were once an offering pill master at Yuebao Tower. Yuan's brow furrowed as he glared at Yuan Bo, not daring to relax in the slightest. So what if I was? What if I wasn't? Yet Yuan Bo appeared very casual. No matter, being an offering pill master at Yuebao Tower. How illustrious that must have been. How have you fallen so low? Tsk tisk. How pitiful. Though Yuan Bo's mouth spoke of pity, his eyes were brimming with triumph. Clearly, he was very proud of his cultivation surpassing that of Yu Yan. Seeing Yuan Bo's demeanor, Yu Yan retorted, "Humph. How I have fallen is still better than you. You're the first one to be expelled from the Qing Yuan sword sect because you were too cowardly to face death." You. At these words, Yuan Bo's face instantly darkened, and pointing at Yu Yan, he was so angry he could hardly speak. Clearly, this matter was a sore point for Yuan Bo. Seeing Yuan Bo so angered, Yu Yan seemed emboldened and not in the least fearful. As a cultivator of the Qing Yuan sword sect, you couldn't even complete a simple task like delivering a message. Tell me, what use is there in keeping you around? If I were a member of the enforcement hall of the Qing Yuan sword sect, I'd have struck you dead on the spot, rather than let you continue to plague the world. Yu Yan's words turned Yuan Bo's face ashen. The two cultivators beside Yuan Bo also lowered their heads, daring not to make sound. Clearly, there must be truth to this matter. Humiliated, Yuan Bo burst into an angry laugh. Good. I wasn't planning on wiping you out completely, leaving a single descendant for the Yu family. I didn't expect you to be so ignorant of what's good for you. It seems that today, none of you will escape. Yu Yan listened and let out a cold laugh. What kind of person you are, Yuan Bo, I am very well aware. Since you took the initiative, you definitely wouldn't let any of us go. Ha ha. Yuan Bo laughed loudly at this time. In that case, there's nothing more to be said. After speaking, Yuan Bo's aura suddenly soared, signaling that he was preparing to make a move. At that moment, the young girl beside Yin was staring intently at Yuan Bo, as if harboring deep hatred. Grandpa, is he the one who killed my daddy? Yu Yin looked at the girl beside him, her eyes red and slightly moist. Her fists were clenched so tightly that her fingertips had turned white. Yu Yan's brows furrowed slightly, and then he spoke. Linger, step back. Leave him to me. Today, I will stake my life to kill him and avenge your father. However, Yiling seemed as if she hadn't heard him at all, her eyes filled with hatred, continually staring at Yuan Bo across from her. Yuan Bo, looking at the girl, spoke with a smile. I remember, I once tormented a man. That man really had guts. I broke every bone in his body, yet he did not utter a sound. But how could I let him go? In the end, I even tormented him for 3 days and nights before letting him die. Before he died, he was still calling out for Ling. At this point, Yuan Bo laughed, then continued. If I'm not mistaken, that lingerer must be you. You devil, I will kill you. Hearing Yuan Bo say this, Yuling could no longer hold back her tears and, like a madwoman, rushed towards Yuan Bo. However, just as the girl charged out, Yuan Bo made his move. His flying sword instantly flew out, striking at the girl without any mercy. Seeing this scene, Shi San couldn't hold back. Master, please save her. Before Shi San had finished speaking, Yu Yin beside the girl had already moved, quickly stepping forward and pulling the girl back with one hand. As he pulled the girl back, Yu Yan's flying sword also flew out, heading towards Yuan Bo's flying sword. It seemed to intercept Yuan Bo's flying sword. But at that moment, 2 more flying swords soared into the air, swiftly attacking Yu Yan. At the same time, Yuan Bo's flying sword also changed direction, attacking Yu Yan. Clearly, they had secretly planned their attack. The plan was to besiege Yu Yan and try to kill him there. Once Yu Yan was dead, the remaining mortals would be completely disregarded. Although Yu Yan had previously been at the Foundation establishment stage, due to an accident, his cultivation had dropped to the later stages of qi refinement because of severe injuries. At this moment, even though he had detected the incoming flying swords, his spiritual power was insufficient. Even if he managed to redirect his flying sword, he could only block 2 of them at most. Clang, clang. The sounds of metal clashing rang out as Yu Yan managed to block 2 of the incoming flying swords. But no matter how he tried to muster his spiritual power, it was too late for the last one. The flying sword continued to thrust directly at Yuan, while a smirk of successful conspiracy emerged on Yuan Bo's face. Yuan knew he was powerless and was about to gather his spiritual power to take the strike with his body when, at that moment, Yuan suddenly realized that his flying sword was out of control and incredibly sped up, intercepting the third flying sword at an extremely fast speed. First was a loud crash, followed by the sound of shattering. The third flying sword was smashed by his own flying sword. This sudden development made Yuan Bo's smile freeze on his face. Even Yuan was incredulous. The cultivator whose flying sword was shattered immediately suffered backlash and spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura immediately weakened. Meanwhile, Yuan's flying sword, after shattering the other, regained its control and flew steadily back to him. The scene had happened so fast that many were unable to react. For a moment, everyone looked towards the flying sword in Yuan's hand, Yuan himself included. He commanded the flying sword to come to him, and then picked it up, carefully inspecting it. However, after the inspection, Yuan found no damage on his flying sword. Yuan was immediately puzzled. Unlike Yuan's confusion, Yuan Bo's expression was extremely ugly. Initially, he thought Yuan had been pretending all along, suddenly unleashing his power to reveal his strength. But looking at Yuan's aura and the expression on his face, it was clear that Yuan was also unaware of what had just happened. Yuan Bo then hurriedly turned to look around. But as he turned his head to look at a mountain nearby, he suddenly froze. Just on a mountain not far from them stood two people. One of them, a young boy, was holding a half-eaten roast chicken, and beside the boy was a young man. At that moment, the young man, facing them, Yuan Bo, tried to see his face clearly. However, no matter how hard he tried, he could not make out his features, even though there was nothing covering this man's face. The two standing there was not unusual in itself. The key issue was that they had been standing there the whole time, and Yuan Bo had never noticed, even unaware of when they had appeared there. They emitted no aura at all, as if they were merged with the heavens and the earth, almost as if they did not exist. Yuan Bo couldn't help but swallow his saliva and immediately became tense. Clearly, the other party's cultivation was unfathomable. The rest of the people, seeing Yuan Bo looking towards a nearby mountain peak, stood still in shock and did not move for a while. Curious, they too turned their heads to look in that direction. They witnessed the same scene. When they saw that scene, the mortals weren't much affected, since in their eyes, immortals were all high above and indistinguishable. Only Yuan, who was also a cultivator, felt the extraordinary presence of the person standing on the mountain peak. At that moment, they saw the person on the mountain peak step forward and then walk down towards the people below. This person was holding the hand of a young boy, and step by step, walked down from the mountain through thin air. This scene shocked not only Yuan Bo and Yuan. Even the mortals were extremely amazed, as the cultivators they had seen before all flew with swords or various magical treasures. It was the first time they had seen someone walk in the void, as if treading on flat ground, without using any magical treasures. As Lin Jing and the boy approached, the girl clearly saw San's face and couldn't help exclaiming, "It's them!" And the girl's third uncle was also shocked at the time. Upon hearing the girl, Yuan was the first to react. After reacting, Yuan hastily asked the girl beside him, "Linger, do you know them?" The girl named Linger nodded and said, "Yes, grandfather. Previously in Mo City, my third uncle and I had met them once." Yuan Bo naturally heard the girl's words. Upon hearing this, his face turned extremely pale. Soon, Lin Jing and the boy arrived in front of the group. At this moment, San, with a flushed face, also held the roasted chicken in his hand behind his back. To drop the chicken or not to drop it? Clearly, San was not used to being watched by people, especially by so many. Upon seeing Lin Jing, Yuan understood what had happened. It must have been this person who had made a move to help him. So, when Lin Jing arrived, Yuan quickly approached him, bowed, and said, "Thank you, Senior, for your help." No sooner had Yuan spoken than he felt himself being lifted by a force. While Yuan was puzzled, a voice that was both unfamiliar and slightly familiar sounded beside his ear. "Fellow, you long time no see." Yuan heard this and was stunned for a moment. Then he lifted his head, puzzled, and looked at the senior in front of him. Continuing. For some reason, Yuan felt that the senior's appearance in front of him was getting clearer, as if a veil were being lifted. After a moment, a long familiar face appeared before him. Yuan, seeing this familiar face, was stunned. It was not until a long time had passed that he exclaimed, "Lin Jing!" When Lin Jing's face appeared, not only Yuan was shocked, but Yuan Bo was too. Seeing Lin Jing's face, Yuan Bo was also lost in astonishment. However, he quickly came to his senses, his expression gradually changing from shock to horror. Lin Jing's sudden appearance with unfathomable cultivation. It filled Yuan Bo with panic. What he had previously done to Lin Jing was all too clear to him. He had thought Lin Jing had been expelled from the Qingyuan sword sect, devoid of the sect's protection, and had long since died. Yet, unexpectedly, Lin Jing was alive all this time and had acquired such terrifying cultivation. After being apart for so long and reconvening, their circumstances were vastly different. Looking at Lin Jing, Yuan was first extremely excited, then filled with sighs. "I never thought that in my lifetime I would meet Lin Dao. Senior Lin Yu. Thank you, Senior Lin, for your help just now." Having said that, Yuan bowed again. After all, the cultivation Lin Jing had just displayed was clearly beyond his comprehension. Lin Jing chuckled and then spoke. "Fellow Yu, no need for so many formalities, get up." Lin Jing spoke nonchalantly, but the gap between them was evident, and Yuan dared not slight in any manner. "Yes, Senior Lin." Lin Jing could only helplessly shake his head. Then, Lin Jing looked at Yuan and asked, "Fellow Yu, you had clearly reached the Foundation establishment, so why have I not seen you for such a long time? And now, your cultivation has fallen to the late phase of qi refinement." Yuan gave a bitter smile and said, "This is already old news. I was injured during a fight with someone, and it has remained this way ever since." Lin Jing then asked, "Are you not able to heal yourself, even as a second-grade alchemist?" Yuan said, "The opponent's methods were too sinister. Despite seeking many solutions during this period, none have been effective. I can only suppress it at most." Lin Jing nodded, then stimulated his divine sense to probe Yuan. In Yuan's dantian, a peculiar energy constantly emitted a sinister aura. This aura also carried a corrosive quality. The constant corrosion emitted from the aura made a wound about 2 fingers wide appear in Yuan's dantian. And yet Yuan continuously used his spiritual power to suppress this energy, preventing the wound from expanding further. Lin Jing needed only a brief glance to understand. Although the power was sinister, it wouldn't take much effort for him to eradicate it. As Lin Jing was examining Yuan's body, he noticed a movement from Yuan Bo nearby. Thus, Lin Jing withdrew his divine sense and turned to look at Yuan Bo. Seeing Lin Jing turn, Yuan Bo froze on the spot. "Yuan Bo." Lin Jing looked at Yuan Bo, his expression calm. Yuan Bo, looking at Lin Jing, appeared rather trembling. Lin Jing, actually didn't die." Lin Jing didn't respond, but instead turned to Yuan Bo and said, "I originally thought you would never be able to establish your foundation in this lifetime. It seems that I underestimated you. What about your uncle Li, the manager? Since even you have succeeded in foundation establishment, surely he must have as well, hasn't he?" At the mention of Manager Li, Yuan Bo's face clearly flashed with panic, but he quickly regained his composure. "No, he was secretly harmed by someone and has long since passed away, without having established his foundation." Having spoken, Yuan Bo gathered his courage and looked at Lin Jing again. "Lin Jing, previously, when you were expelled from the Qingyuan sword sect, we were also compelled by others. We had no choice. Now that your cultivation has been achieved, if you want to seek revenge, I can inform you of the person who instigated it. If you truly can't get past your anger and want to seek revenge on me, then I have nothing to say." Yuan Bo then straightened up, assuming a posture of noble sacrifice, and said proudly, "It's just that I wonder, your golden core?" At this point, Yuan Bo suddenly paused, and then beads of cold sweat ran down. "No, wait. You're not a golden core immortal? You just used aerial void crossing, a skill that only a nascent soul, true monarch, can perform. You're a nascent soul, true monarch." After these words, the courage that Yuan Bo had just mustered collapsed resoundingly. His gaze toward Lin Jing filled with fear once again. Nascent soul, true monarchs, aside from the ancestors of the top 3 sects in the Nanming domain, represented the most elite existence. No matter how Yuan Bo thought about it, in just a few decades, Lin Jing had grown to this extent. Yuan Bo's words left Yuan and the 2 cultivators utterly shocked. Ordinary people were not aware of the cultivation realms, but as cultivators, they were acutely aware of the kind of existence Lin Jing represented. Yuan was still in a better state, rendered speechless by the shock. The 2 cultivators behind Yuan Bo, however, quivered like sieves, especially after hearing the conversation between Lin Jing and Yuan Bo, knowing that Yuan Bo and the nascent soul true monarch before them had old grudges. The 2 felt a sense of despair suddenly fill their hearts. At that moment, not just the 2, but also Yuan Bo looked up, closed his eyes, and spoke. "Lin Jing, indeed, we wronged you previously. If you wish to kill me to vent your anger, then so be it." Lin Jing, looking at Yuan Bo, couldn't help but sneer. Yuan Bo's constantly trembling eyelashes betrayed his inner turmoil. The seemingly righteous him was actually extremely nervous inside. The disparity in cultivation between Lin Jing and Yuan Bo was astronomical. If Lin Jing wanted to kill Yuan Bo, it would be as easy as crushing an ant, not leaving any chance for resistance. Furthermore, the identities of both parties were greatly unequal. One was simply a junior cultivator who had not long ago reached foundation establishment, while the other was a nascent soul, true monarch. If Lin Jing made a move, it would be an act of bullying the weak. Yuan Bo was well aware of this, which is why he spoke as he did, thereby giving Lin Jing cause for concern in hopes of sparing himself. How could Lin Jing not understand Yuan Bo's thoughts? But if Lin Jing truly wished to eliminate Yuan Bo, why would he need to take action himself? However, it was at this moment that Yuan spoke up. "Senior Lin, the steward you just mentioned, is his name Li Yiming?" Lin Jing looked at Yuan and nodded. "Yes, his name is indeed Li Yiming. Does Taoist you also know of him?" At this moment, Yuan Bo also turned his gaze to Yuan again, wanting to know what more he had to say. Yuan clasped his hands and said, "If it's Li Yiming, then I believe I know some details. Li Yiming, he was likely killed by Yuan Bo." Upon hearing this, Yuan Bo immediately tensed and retorted, "That's nonsense. He is my uncle. How could I possibly kill him?" Yuan let out a cold laugh, saying, "Huh, uncle? What a great uncle indeed. If I had been unsure before, your appearance today has made me utterly certain. Li Yiming was definitely killed by you." The energy refinement cultivator standing beside Yuan Bo looked at him incredulously and then stepped back 2 paces. Unbeknownst to them, there were hidden truths, and Lin Jing's interest was piqued upon hearing this. Yuan Bo glared at Yuan, angrily retorting, "Don't talk nonsense here. My uncle has always treated me as his own child. How could I possibly harm him? Of course, it was for the foundation building elixir." Yuan looked coldly at Yuan Bo and spoke again. "When Li Yiming visited Mo City, the matter of him having the foundation building elixir on him quickly spread. After that, someone visited to steal the elixir, and even Li Yiming met his death there and then you, together with another Qingyuan sword sect member, scoured Mo City for the murderer." As Yuan spoke, his eyes were filled with sorrow. "In the end, you even colluded to falsely accuse several cultivators, including my son. My son wanted to defend himself, but you directly struck and killed him on the spot." Having said this, Yuan glared directly at Yuan Bo. "Do you really think you, Yuan Bo, have such a brilliant talent? With your aptitude, breaking through to Foundation establishment is already extremely difficult, not to mention impossible without the Foundation building elixir. That Foundation building elixir, it was definitely taken by you. And Li Yiming, you killed him. Hearing this, the cultivator who had stepped back took several more paces away, his eyes filled with disbelief as he looked at Yuan Bo. Uncle Yuan, you killed my grandfather. Yuan Bo seemed somewhat anxious and quickly spoke. Yingguang, don't listen to their nonsense. We are family. How could I possibly kill your grandfather? Seeing Yuan Bo's demeanor, Lin Jing immediately understood that Yuan Bo must be hiding something. Therefore, Lin Jing smiled faintly and then said to the cultivator named Yingguang, whether he killed or not, you can simply ask and find out for yourself. As he spoke, Lin Jing directly stimulated his divine sense, rushing towards Yuan Bo's sea of consciousness. The gap between Yuan Bo and Lin Jing was so vast that as Lin Jing's divine sense broke into Yuan Bo's sea of consciousness, it instantly shattered his mental defenses. However, Lin Jing did not subject him to a soul search, nor was it necessary. Lin Jing merely suppressed his spiritual sense, rendering him unable to control his own actions. Put simply, Yuan Bo's spiritual sense being suppressed, he instantly entered a stupefied state wherein he would unhesitatingly answer any question posed to him. And these answers would be absolutely truthful. This method was seldom used because it only worked when the disparity between the two parties was especially great. Otherwise, it was highly likely to backfire. Yuan Bo's eyes immediately became lifeless, betraying a vacant expression. Lin Jing then said to the cultivator named Yingguang, "All right, you can ask whatever you want now." No sooner had Lin Jing's words fell than the cultivator who was injured by the flying sword couldn't help but speak out. "Li Yingguang, you." However, before he could finish, he felt an overwhelming pressure, so suffocating that he was forced to look toward Lin Jing and met his gaze. He only felt a buzz in his head, as if it had exploded, causing him to immediately lose focus. After that, there were no more interruptions. The cultivator, named Li Yingguang, looked at Yuan Bo, hesitating for a moment before raising his head with a determined gaze. "Was my grandfather really killed by you?" Yuan Bo, with his eyes blank, reacted nonetheless upon hearing the voice, only to see Yuan Bo tilt his head in confusion, then slowly began to speak, his voice devoid of any emotional fluctuation. "Your grandfather? Who is he?" "Li Yiming, your uncle." Li Yingguang spoke again, adding, "Li Yiming, uncle." Yuan Bo seemed confused for a moment. Then he responded, "Yes, I killed him." Upon hearing Yuan Bo admitted himself, Li Yingguang became overwhelmed with anger. Just as he was about to lash out, he forcibly held back. Li Yingguang closed his eyes, steadying his turbulent emotions, and then opened them again to ask, "Wasn't Li Yiming your uncle? Why would you kill him? Didn't he treat you well?" After hearing this, Yuan Bo immediately responded, "Well, of course well." And then Yuan Bo seemed to sink into memory, talking to himself. "I was able to join the Qingyuan sword sect because of him. When I made a mistake in the Qingyuan sword sect, and the sect wanted to strip me of my cultivation, it was still he who used his connections to plead for me, allowing me to keep my cultivation. Even when I was expelled from the Qingyuan sword sect, it was with his help that I was able to quickly stabilize. I naturally know how well my uncle treated me." Hearing this, Li Yingguang's eyes blazed with even more fury, and the hatred in his gaze towards Yuan Bo was overwhelming. Knowing how well his own grandfather had treated him, yet he still murdered his own grandfather, Li Yingguang wished he could flay Yuan Bo thousands of times to appease the hatred in his heart, although they had once been family. But when he learned that Yuan Bo had killed his own grandfather, that so-called family bond had dissipated into thin air. He and the person before him were no longer relatives, but enemies. However, he couldn't kill him yet. Li Yingguang still didn't understand why he had killed his own grandfather. Therefore, Li Yingguang closed his eyes again, trying to calm his agitated emotions, and then, trembling, he asked, "Since you knew how well my grandfather treated you, Why did you still kill him? To kill him, Yuan Bo started, hesitated for a moment, and then continued. Because he had a foundation-building elixir. At this point, Yuan Bo seemed to recall the injustice he had encountered, his face showing grievance as he said, "He had the foundation-building elixir, but he didn't give it to me. Why didn't he give it to me? I'm his own nephew. If he can't give it to me, who can he give it to? He treated me so well, yet he didn't give me the foundation-building elixir." Speaking here, Yuan Bo seemed aggrieved, growing more and more agitated. He could not give it to me. The foundation-building elixir should have been mine. If he wouldn't give it, I would take it. If he dared to stop me, I dare to kill him. That should have been mine. How would he not give it to me? As Yuan Bo spoke, his voice gradually lowered, seeming to run out of energy, continuously murmuring softly, "The foundation-building elixir is mine. It was always mine. He could not give it. I was right to kill him. I was just taking back what is mine." Hearing this answer, Lin Jing could no longer contain himself. Tears in his eyes, he burst out laughing. "Ha ha! Grandpa, I never thought that after all you gave, not only did you not receive gratitude, but you also raised such an ungrateful wretch. Grandpa, you named me Ying Guang, but Grandpa, you really were blind." At this point, Lin Jing suddenly looked down, his eyes turning blood red, his fury erupting instantly, engulfing him completely. Next, Lin Jing gathered all his spiritual power, controlling the flying sword, and stabbed towards Yuan Bo's dantian. Lin Jing suddenly made his move. Lin Jing could have stopped him, but did not intervene, only withdrawing the divine sense that had been suppressing his spiritual sense. As Lin Jing withdrew his divine sense, Yuan Bo had just come to his senses when he heard a plop sound, like something had burst. Immediately after, intense pain erupted from his dantian. Yuan Bo felt a severe pain emitting from his dantian and immediately looked down. He saw a sword tip emerging from his own body at the dantian, and that sword tip was all too familiar. Seeing the sword tip, Yuan Bo immediately turned his head, looking beside him. He saw Lin Jing with blood-red eyes, full of fury looking at him. At the same time, his hand was forming a sword gesture, continuously infusing spiritual power, controlling the flying sword that had entered his body. It was not until Yuan Bo saw Lin Jing that he recalled what he had just said. Suddenly, Yuan Bo's face turned deathly pale, not knowing if it was because of the injury or because he knew the secret he had just exposed. Even now, he still wanted to open his mouth, trying to say something in defense. But by then, he no longer had the strength. With his dantian pierced, his entire cultivation was utterly wasted. Even as the flying sword continued to exert force, the intense tearing force from his dantian kept coming. Pooh! The flying sword ruthlessly passed through Yuan Bo's dantian, flying out from his abdomen, leaving a gaping hole through the front and back of his dantian. Only then did another energy refinement cultivator, who had been suppressed by Lin Jing, regain consciousness. After regaining consciousness, he hurriedly ran over to support the fallen Yuan Bo. "Father!" The cultivator cried out in pain. Unexpectedly, this person was Yuan Bo's son. However, just as the cultivator was holding Yuan Bo and weeping, Lin Jing, standing behind him, had red eyes and an expressionless face as he looked at this man. "When my grandfather died, you were not far away. You must have known about it." Yuan Bo quickly struggled to speak. He didn't know. "I did everything. It has nothing to do with him." As Yuan Bo spoke, bright red blood oozed incessantly from his mouth. And with Yuan Bo's dantian being pierced, obviously, his life was not likely to last much longer. Yuan Bo's son looked up at Lin Jing, his eyes filled with hatred, then turned his head towards Lin Jing, his eyes filled with contempt. "It's ridiculous. You actually believe an outsider and don't trust us." Lin Jing, however, stared directly at him and spoke. "You Yuan family, it's truly laughable. I knew before that you were despicable, but I never thought that you would treat your own people in the same way. My grandfather was blind to have helped the Yuan family so wholeheartedly. It's fine if you don't appreciate it, but to plot against my grandfather and harm his life. I really feel it's unworthy for my grandfather." At this time, Yuan Bo's breathing grew weaker and weaker. But in the last moments of his life, he anxiously looked towards his son, and as he turned his head, his eyes filled with a plea as he looked at Lin Jing. However, faced with Yuan Bo's plea, Lin Jing paid no attention. Soon, Yuan Bo's breath ceased, and he died in his son's arms. As soon as Yuan Bo died, Li Yingguang turned to Yuan Bo's son and said, "Yuan Bro, this is the last time I call you Yuan Bro. You just need to answer me whether you were involved in my grandfather's death." Yuan Bo's son gently set down his father, and then looking up, antagonistically facing Li Yingguang, he said, "Yes, I was indeed at the scene when your grandfather died." Li Yingguang chuckled and said, "Then it seems there's no mistake." Having said this, Li Yingguang's aura surged, and then he spoke. "Come on, your father killed my grandfather, and I killed your father. Now it's just the two of us here, whoever wins survives. Since that's the case, I will grant you this." Yuan Bo's son looked at Li Yingguang and spoke outright. After that, the two of them walked forward. Lin Jing did not stop them, just letting them go. However, it was not long before they left that they both made their moves, each maneuvering their flying swords, attacking each other. Meanwhile, the rest of the people had just begun to react and saw their fight commence. Lin Jing could see that both were filled with anger. Thus, neither spared their strength, both exerting their full power in battle. However, Yuan Bo's son had been injured earlier, and his flying sword had already cracked. Hence, the two did not take long to determine the victor. In the end, Li Yingguang was luckier and killed Yuan Bo's son, securing the final victory. Although he emerged victorious and survived, Li Yingguang was also seriously injured. Afterward, limping, Li Yingguang came in front of Lin Jing and said, "Senior, now that I have avenged my great enemy, Senior, you can kill or flame me at your discretion." Lin Jing then spoke to Li Yingguang. "I have no grievances with you. Why should I kill you?" Upon hearing this, Li Yingguang paused for a moment and then bowed to Lin Jing before preparing to leave. However, Lin Jing called out to him at this moment. Li Yingguang turned around and looked back at Lin Jing, his expression neither joyous nor sorrowful. Lin Jing pointed to the ground where Yuan Bo and his son's bodies lay, and said, "Since they came with you, please take them both away." After hearing this, Li Yingguang nodded and then approached to pick up Yuan Bo's body. He then walked to a farther spot, picked up the body of Yuan Bo's son, and then left. It wasn't until after Li Yingguang had left that everyone came back to their senses. For a moment, all of them looked at Lin Jing with an unparalleled reverence. Even Yin was no exception. However, those mortals only watched from a distance, not daring to step forward in the slightest. Yin immediately clasped his hands together and thanked Lin Jing. "Many thanks to Senior Lin. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid none of us would have survived today." With just a slight effort from Lin Jing, he had resolved an issue that Yin, no matter how hard he tried, could not have dealt with. Moreover, he had directly avenged the murder of his child, and Yin was naturally extremely grateful to Lin Jing. Lin Jing merely smiled and then said, "After all, we have worked together before. This was nothing, just a small effort." Yin looked at Lin Jing with immense gratitude, yet he couldn't help but feel a bit nostalgic. It is important to note that once Yin's cultivation had been higher than Lin Jing's. Yet, who would have thought that in just a few decades, their situations would have changed dramatically? Yin then spoke. "Back then, the Howling Sky Wolf clan launched a sudden attack, and many people went missing. Senior Lin, along with Elder Yu and Elder Bai, all disappeared in such a way. I even thought that you were no longer with us, and the same went for Steward Cheng." As he said this, Yin suddenly asked Lin Jing, "Senior Lin, you still remember Steward Cheng, right? Back at Yuebao Tower, apart from Elder Yu and Elder Bai, the one he had most dealings with was Steward Cheng. How could Lin Jing possibly forget?" Lin Jing nodded and said, "Of course, I remember." Yin said, "Steward Cheng has now been promoted to attendant and is in charge of Tianxin City's Yuebao Tower. If he knows you're all right, he will surely be very happy. Lin Jing spoke with a smile. Is that so? Then when I get to Tianjin City, I can take the opportunity to visit him. Yuan nodded. Yes, he is. At this point, Yuan suddenly paused. Then he quickly changed the subject. All right, Senior Lin, do you know a disciple surnamed Han from Cheng Yuan sword sect? Senior Han's surname was Han, and the only one in the entire Cheng Yuan sword sect with whom he still had some connection was Senior Han. Lin Jing nodded, saying, I know him. Has he been looking for me? Yes. Yuan nodded and then continued. A disciple surnamed Han from Cheng Yuan sword sect was looking for you. He approached Attendant Cheng and seems to have left a letter with him, saying that he wanted Attendant Cheng to pass it on to you. Many years have passed now, and I don't know if that letter is still with Attendant Cheng. Upon hearing this, Lin Jing nodded gently. I'll take a look when I get a chance. Afterward, Yuan had a brief chat with Lin Jing. In this reunion, Yuan was very restrained. Even the rest of the caravan members held Lin Jing in high regard, but did not dare to approach him. Only after a long discussion did Yuan invite Lin Jing to travel with the caravan to Tianjin City. However, Lin Jing declined. Lin Jing and they were, after all, from two different worlds. Even if they traveled together, those mortals would not be at ease. It was better for him to go his own way. Finally, before leaving, Lin Jing extended his hand to rid Yuan of the strange energy and healed his internal injuries. As soon as the injuries were healed, Yuan's cultivation made rapid progress, and within moments, he re-entered the middle stage of Foundation Establishment. The middle stage of Foundation Establishment was exactly the level of cultivation he had before he was injured. Having his injuries healed, Yuan was immediately overwhelmed with excitement and rushed to thank Lin Jing with his family and clan, expressing deep gratitude. At that time, Lin Jing bid farewell to Yuan and left with San. As Lin Jing left, Yuan, with his family and clan members, stood there, watching Lin Jing's departing figure for a long while. Yuan knew that after this farewell, it was very likely the last time they would ever meet. The gap between them was simply too vast. They were no longer people of the same world. Yuan could only watch Lin Jing's departing figure and sigh. Next to Yuan, the young girl also looked in the direction where Lin Jing had gone, remaining silent for a long time. After leaving, Lin Jing and San continued on their way to Tianjin City. Looking at San, Lin Jing then joked, That girl is named Yuling. What do you think? Should I help you talk to her? Lin Jing said this because just now when they were leaving, San had stealthily looked back at the girl twice. San's face immediately turned red with embarrassment, and he quickly said, Master, I was just curious. I didn't mean anything by it. Lin Jing just smiled and said nothing. Tianjin City might not compare with Nanshan Immortal City or Seawatch City, but as a medium-sized immortal city, it was much more bustling than MO City, especially the number of cultivators walking on the streets, which was who knows how many times more than in MO City. And in the heart of Tianjin City, all sorts of shops were run by cultivators. Yuebao Tower in Tianjin City was precisely located here. Upon arriving at Tianjin City with San, Lin Jing went straight to the central area. Reaching the heart of Tianjin City, they went directly to Yuebao Tower. The Tianjin City branch of Yuebao Tower, standing at 7 stories, was shorter than that in Nanming Immortal City. However, this 7-story Yuebao Tower was already quite a prominent site within Tianjin City. Standing at the entrance of Yuebao Tower, Lin Jing only needed to release a bit of his aura for a golden core stage steward to hurriedly come over. This person approached, clasped his hands respectfully, and greeted Lin Jing. Esteemed Taoist, welcome to our Yuebao Tower. What brings you here, Taoist? Whatever you require, Yuebao Tower provides. Lin Jing subsequently spoke, saying, I'm here to find someone. Oh. The attendant first looked puzzled, then asked, Could it be that Taoist is acquainted with one of Yuebao Tower's stewards? Lin Jing replied, I wonder if an attendant from Tianjin City's Yuebao Tower is perhaps the same Steward Cheng who previously served in Nanshan Immortal City. The Golden Core Cultivator, upon hearing this, instantly understood and nodded as he replied, Indeed, it is Steward Cheng you speak of. Could it be that Taoist is an old acquaintance of Steward Cheng? Lin Jing nodded. Please trouble Taoist to pass on a message, saying that an old friend is paying a visit. As soon as Lin Jing had finished, that golden core stage, Steward immediately said, Taoist, I'm really sorry, but unfortunately, Steward Cheng has gone out on business and is not currently in the tower. Why don't you wait for a few days? I estimate Steward Cheng will be back within 3 days. Lin Jing, upon hearing this, nodded and then said to the attendant, Thank you, Taoist. In that case, I won't disturb you any further. I will return in 3 days. Having said this, Lin Jing planned to leave. But just then, that golden core stage steward spoke up. I still don't know the honored Taoist's name, so that I can convey it to Steward Cheng upon his return. Lin Jing then said, Lin Jing. The attendant said, Rest assured, Lin Dao Yu. Once Steward Cheng returns, I will most certainly convey your message. Lin Jing bowed his hands in gratitude. Then I thank you. After Lin Jing left Yuebao Tower, he found an inn to stay in. It wasn't until the 3rd day that Lin Jing once again made his way to Yuebao Tower. This time, Lin Jing encountered Steward Cheng. Upon seeing Lin Jing, Steward Cheng was both astonished and excited. Lin Jing, you're actually odd. Lin Jing nodded. He then shared part of his previous ordeal with Steward Cheng. After listening, Steward Cheng first fell silent for a long while, then couldn't help but be somewhat sentimental. It turned out that Elder Bai and Elder Yu had gone to the demon race secret realm and left Steward Cheng in charge of Yuebao Tower. Unexpectedly, at that time, the Howling Sky Wolf clan incident suddenly erupted. With both Elder Bai and Elder Yu missing subsequently, Steward Cheng, having stayed to watch over Yuebao Tower, had narrowly escaped disaster. After that, Steward Cheng shared some of his experiences from over the years with Lin Jing. Yuebao Tower originally belonged to one of the top 3 sects, Yuan Pavilion. So when the Howling Sky Wolf clan broke out from the demon race secret realm, Yuebao Tower enjoyed Yuan Pavilion's protection and was relatively safe. Eventually, even the 3 major sects could not resist the onslaught of the Howling Sky Wolf clan. They resisted while retreating. It was during this time that the 3 major sects formed an alliance. And it was here that Steward Cheng encountered Senior Han, who was inquiring about Lin Jing. Steward Cheng then relayed all he knew to Senior Han. After listening, Senior Han was speechless for a long while. However, he seemed to not believe that Lin Jing had perished in the demon race secret realm. He then left a letter, requesting Steward Cheng to hand it to Lin Jing, should he see him. Having finished speaking, Steward Cheng handed the letter from Senior Han to Lin Jing. Lin Jing took the letter and immediately opened it. Brother Lin Jing, receiving this letter is as good as meeting in person. Today I encountered Steward Cheng and inquired about you. Steward Cheng said you had gone to the demon race secret realm, and it's very likely you met with catastrophe. Yet I believe you would not fall so easily. I've also seen the cultivation true elixir. You really are. You must know how precious that is. If placed in an auction, it could have people fighting tooth and nail for it. Such a valuable elixir medicine, and yet you just gave it away like that to me. You shouldn't have given it to me with your lesser talent. Even if you couldn't make use of the cultivation true elixir, you could have sold it in exchange for cultivation resources. Lin Jing unfolded the letter, carefully perusing it. Senior Han didn't say much, but he firmly believed in his letter that Lin Jing would not perish just like that. The letter consisted of 2 pages. After reading the first page, Lin Jing hurriedly picked up the second and began to go through it. Thus, it wasn't until the latter half of the second page that Lin Jing found the news he wanted to know. The letter read, I have left the Qingyuan sword sect and am about to depart. This departure, I am prepared to head to the Eastern Spirit Realm. I hope that in the future, we will meet again. After finishing reading the letter, Lin Jing felt a mix of melancholy and relief. The relief was that Senior Han was unscathed when the Howling Sky Wolf clan attacked. The melancholy was because he had now left for the Eastern Spirit Realm, and it seemed they would not be able to meet again in the short term. After going through the letter, Lin Jing carefully folded it back, placed it into the envelope, and then put it away. Next, Lin Jing started chatting with Steward Cheng. It wasn't long before the two of them began talking about the events of the past few days. It turned out that Steward Cheng had been called away to Yuan Pavilion a few days ago. As they reached this topic, Steward Cheng lowered his voice and cautioned Lin Jing. Lin Jing, you must be extra careful during this time. Lin Jing looked puzzled and replied, Why? Steward Cheng then said, A mysterious demon cultivator has appeared in the Nanming domain, and this demon cultivator is very formidable. According to the news from Nanming Immortal Sect, Elder Yu of the sect has fallen, and it is suspected that he was killed by this demon cultivator. Lin Jing was taken aback. He never expected to be mistaken for a demon cultivator. However, Lin Jing's face showed a look of utter shock. Elder Yu of the Nanming Immortal Sect has fallen? Isn't Elder Yu of the Nanming Immortal Sect at the Divinity transformation stage? How could he have suddenly died? Steward Cheng nodded and said, Yes. Elder Yu is one of the few divine transformation cultivators in the Nanming domain. It's said that Elder Yu's death happened some time ago, but since he usually cultivated in seclusion and rarely emerged, no one knew. His life tablet wasn't placed in the sect's shrine like others, but was kept in his own cave dwelling. It was only when the sect leader of Nanming Immortal Sect needed to consult with Elder Yu a short while ago that they discovered his absence, and found that the life tablet kept in his dwelling had also shattered. After Steward Cheng finished speaking, Lin Jing posed another question. Steward Cheng, if it happened as you say, Elder Yu's death would have been unnoticed. So why suspect a demon cultivator? Could it not have been the work of the Howling Sky Wolf clan? Steward Cheng shook his head and said, It wouldn't be. The seal on the demon race secret realm was personally created by two prominents from the Western Demon region, both of whom possess cultivation beyond divinity transformation. If the seal were broken, they would surely have known. Although there were a few demon cultivators from the wolf tribe missed out in the dense forests of Night Mist Mountain Range, those demon cultivators are not a concern. So, it couldn't possibly be the doing of the Howling Sky Wolf clan. Moreover, the most important point is, when Nanming Immortal Sect learned of this, they immediately sought out the two prominents from the Western Demon region to investigate. Those two found traces of Elder Yu's residual energy very quickly, but due to the time that had passed, the traces were faint. However, one thing that was certain was that the area contained not only Elder Yu's energy, but also residual traces of demonic qi. The presence of demonic qi obviously implies that a demon cultivator has come to the Nanming domain. Lin Jing, hearing this, felt helpless. He thought that their analysis was logical and reasonable. After all, Elder Yu of Nanming Immortal Sect was one of the elders of the three major sects in the Nanming domain. Even if Lin Jing himself appeared and said that Elder Yu cultivated demonic path techniques, no one would believe it. Steward Cheng went on to say, Right now, the two prominents from the Western Demon region are searching for that demon cultivator's trail. And based on the traces they left behind, that demon cultivator is heading southward, seemingly not too far from Tianqin City. So, you have to be exceedingly careful. If you encounter anything suspicious, do not linger for long. Leave immediately. If possible, it's best to leave this southern region. Facing Steward Cheng's concern, Lin Jing felt moved yet somewhat helpless. But he couldn't outright say that the demon cultivator he spoke of was actually himself, so he could only respond. Steward Cheng, do not worry, I cannot stay here much longer, and I will be leaving soon. As for yourself, always being here in Tianqin City, you must be careful in everything. Steward Cheng then laughed and said, You need not worry about me. The two important figures from the Western Demon region should be arriving soon. By then, with both of them here, I believe that the demon cultivator won't be able to stir up any major trouble. Seeing Steward Cheng's confident demeanor, Lin Jing's mouth twitched, and he could only nod along in agreement. This meeting with Steward Cheng, Lin Jing talked with him for a long time. Throughout the meeting, Lin Jing did not reveal his true cultivation level and only presented himself as a golden core cultivator. Yet, even just as a golden core cultivator, he already astonished Steward Cheng. A golden core cultivator in Tianjin City was already among the elite, and Lin Jing had reached this stage in just a few decades. It is known, even with the help of the Yuan Pavilion, it took Steward Cheng over 100 years to advance to the golden core stage. In the end, it was only as the day began to darken that Steward Cheng had to attend to some matters, and their conversation had to end. The next day, after discussing with San, Lin Jing prepared to leave. Afterward, Lin Jing took San to bid farewell to Steward Cheng, and following their goodbyes, the two left Tianjin City. After leaving Tianjin City, Lin Jing started touring the Nanming domain with San. During this time, Lin Jing sealed his cultivation and even hid his divine sense, appearing like an ordinary person as he toured with San. Sometimes they would be in a bustling, immortal city, sometimes in a lush forest, and sometimes even on the precipice of perilous peaks. Their footsteps were left in countless places. Following Lin Jing around, San had not a word of complaint and was even quite thrilled. After touring for a long time, the two traveled through many places. San's knowledge grew as he experienced many strange and wonderful things. Initially, San admired the lifestyle of cultivators very much, but as they continued their travels, the two visited immortal city after immortal city, witnessing much deceit and calculation among cultivators and the maneuvering among cultivator families. Gradually, San came to a realization. Cultivators and ordinary people are not so different after all. Initially, San had some reservations about being unable to cultivate, but after seeing all this, he gradually let go. During this time, as they passed through immortal cities, they occasionally heard some news. It was about the patriarch of the Nanming immortal sect and the demon cultivator. The news of the patriarch of the Nanming immortal sect falling spread, eventually causing a significant uproar. As for the demon cultivator, he disappeared without a trace. They did not find out it was Lin Jing. Of course, during this time, there were people searching for Lin Jing. The one searching for Lin Jing was naturally Yuan. After the ambush, Lin Jing had Yuan leave first, and later, when he was being hunted by the patriarch of the Nanming immortal sect, he sent a message advising Yuan and Li Qingqing to take the entire Li family away from the Nanming domain and return to Liyan Island. However, after they returned, they did not see Lin Jing come back for a long time. So Yuan, worried, went out again to search for Lin Jing. Upon learning that Yuan was searching for him, Lin Jing met with Yuan and gave him some instructions, then sent him back. Yuan left following Lin Jing's directions, and Lin Jing then set out on the road again. Time flew by quickly, and 5 years soon passed. In 5 years, Lin Jing and San had toured the entire Nanming domain. San had grown from a youth into a full-grown man. As for Lin Jing, he seemed to have forgotten his identity as a cultivator, traveling over mountains and rivers, traversing deserts with San, visiting numerous places. During this time, San's demeanor continuously changed, while Lin Jing appeared to fully integrate into the world, becoming a true mortal. After finishing their tour of the Nanming domain, perhaps accustomed to the mountains and rivers, San started yearning for the sea. Therefore, Lin Jing took San to the seaside. After touring the Nanming domain, having been seasoned by rugged mountains, San became even more composed, his gaze profound, his whole demeanor steady as a mountain. Following this, the two procured a small boat and ventured into the sea. The sea, unlike land, contained more and more dangerous demonic beasts, but it was also more fascinating. Fortunately, Lin Jing was a body refinement cultivator. Even without using spells, he could face those sea demonic beasts without any harm. However, the perils of the sea were not just once. There were also potential storms at any moment. This time, the two toured the sea for 4 years. Having been through sea storms, witnessing the vastness and unpredictability of the sea, San's character became even more resolute than ever before. After 4 years of touring, the two returned to the Nanming domain again. In 9 years, San had seen the prosperity of immortal cities, the fickleness of human hearts, toured dangerous peaks, as well as deserts and plateaus, and witnessed the vast, yet fickle sea. San underwent a profound transformation deep down in his bones. At this time, with only 1 year left until the decade was up, the two had to return earlier than planned, perhaps because the decade was nearing its end. San's body also developed some issues. San's body started changing, becoming unusually lethargic. Although his body had become exceptionally strong after 9 years of travel, boosted by some martial techniques among mortals that Lin Jing had taught him, San's body could even match that of a low-level cultivator. But that didn't solve the problem. Lin Jing had also used his divine sense to try and investigate. Although he could detect some issues, these were beyond his ability to resolve. In the end, the two decided to return. The two left the ocean and eventually returned to Seawatch City. Seeing the exceedingly flourishing immortal city again, San's entire demeanor appeared exceptionally calm and composed. Lin Jing, standing next to him, seemed as if he had completely melded with the world, his every gesture indistinguishable from that of a true mortal, with no flaws visible at all. The two looked up, gazing southward. They knew it was time to go back. Afterward, the two set off on the road again, just as they had when they first began their journey. After 9 years of traveling, San had become much more composed and spoke far less. The two left Seawatch City, walking on the road. Suddenly, San broke the silence without hesitation or doubt. "Master, I want to go back to Mo City." Lin Jing looked at San, then nodded and said, "All right, then we'll go back to Mo City." San responded, followed by an endless silence. While they continued on, San slowed his pace. Lin Jing, puzzled, turned to look at San. San furrowed his brows, looked at Lin Jing, and seemed to hesitate. Lin Jing noticed San's reluctance and knew he must be struggling. So Lin Jing spoke. "Ask whatever you want to ask. I will answer whatever I know." San looked at Lin Jing, hesitated for a moment, and then nodded. "Master, my grandfather, he was a cultivator, wasn't he?" Lin Jing nodded and said, "It seems you've noticed." "Yes, he was a cultivator." Hearing the answer he wanted, San's expression visibly relaxed. Then, San spoke again. "Since I was a child, my grandfather hardly interacted with anyone, including the people of our town. I never thought much about it before, but the traveling in recent times made me recall many things from my childhood and notice some clues." After speaking, San asked Lin Jing again, "Master, tell me, am I about to die? And is it because of my body that my grandfather wouldn't let me cultivate?" Without waiting, San continued, "In the past 2 years, I've been sleeping longer, and every time I sleep, I dream of falling into an abyss, a very deep and cold one, as if it will never end. Especially in the last 2 months, I feel like that dream is becoming more and more real." At this point, San showed a relieved expression. "I was worried about what my grandfather would do if I suddenly were no longer here. Since my grandfather is a cultivator, I don't need to worry anymore." Lin Jing turned to look at San, then spoke directly. "San, your body, indeed, has some problems. However, your grandfather's looking for some items to treat your body. So don't worry, you will definitely be all right." "Is that so?" San looked southward, murmuring. A moment later, San turned his head, somewhat worried, and asked Lin Jing, "Master, will my grandfather searching for medicine for me be dangerous?" Lin Jing reassured him, "Don't worry, your grandfather is no ordinary cultivator. He definitely won't be in danger." "Is my grandfather's cultivation very high?" San, still somewhat puzzled, continued to ask, "What realm is he in? How does he compare with you, master?" Lin Jing thought for a moment, then spoke. "I'm not sure of your grandfather's exact realm, but I am certain there is no one in the entire Nanming domain who is his match." Lin Jing recalled his initial encounter with San's grandfather in whose eyes all of Lin Jing's concealment techniques seemed like nothing. Even the blood infant pact, which had long troubled him, was merely a matter of moving his hand for him. Lin Jing was unsure of Shi San's grandfather's exact realm, but it was certain that it was at least above body refinement. After speaking, Lin Jing said to Shi San again, "All right, stop worrying over nothing. We're going to Mo City now. Didn't you want to see Yuling? We'll stay in Mo City for a while." This time, mentioning Yuling, Shi San didn't act as shy as before, but rather said frankly, "I knew from the beginning that she and I are from different worlds, so I didn't pursue those thoughts. Now that we're returning, I just want to go to Mo City to see her once again, and that'll be enough." Lin Jing nodded and said, "That seems good. Then I'll take one more look." Having said that, Lin Jing looked towards Shi San. "Let's go then." Shi San nodded his head and then strode forward, and Lin Jing followed leisurely behind Shi San. Seawatch City was in the northern part of Nanming Domain, close to the demonic monster sea, while Mo City was situated at the southernmost part of Nanming Domain, near the barren Forbidden Zone. The distance between the two cities was by no means short. It took Lin Jing and Shi San almost half a year to travel from Seawatch City back to Mo City. After arriving in Mo City, by making just a few inquiries, they quickly learned news about the Yu family. Because of Yuan's presence, the Yu family had become the leading cultivator family in Mo City, not difficult to find. Shi San also finally got his wish to see Yuling. To cultivators, 9 years might not seem much, but to ordinary people, it could be described as an era having passed. The current Yuling was no longer that young girl. Instead, she had married into another cultivator family. She and a young master from that family, who also lacked a spiritual root, had become husband and wife. Given the Yu family's extraordinary status in Mo City, Yuling was not mistreated after her marriage. Moreover, her husband was a decent man. Though their marriage was an alliance between families, and perhaps they were not deeply in love, they treated each other with respect and led a happy life. After Shi San arrived, he did not announce himself, but simply glanced at her from afar, not wishing to disturb her present life. Maybe it was as Shi San had said from the beginning, that they were never people from the same world. After seeing Yuling, Shi San and Lin Jing went back to Yunling Town together. Upon returning to Yunling Town, they visited the mountain outside the town, where Shi San's home was located. After being away for nearly a decade, Shi San seemed to have a lot of feelings upon his return. He stood in front of the courtyard, lost in thought for a long while. The courtyard was overgrown with weeds, filling the entire space. The walls were mottled in the middle of the yard, showing the traces of time. Even the roof was home to a few hardy wild grasses, swaying in the wind. This was clearly the result of a long absence, suggesting that Shi San's grandfather hadn't returned for quite some time either. After snapping out of it, Shi San walked into the yard, approached the house, and pushed the door open. 10 years of absence, and dust rose as soon as the door opened. Shi San entered the house, made a round inside, then came out, picked up the broom that had fallen by the wall, and went back into the house. Lin Jing, on the other hand, turned his attention to the overgrown weeds in the yard and walked towards them. After the two had cleaned the house, it was nearly afternoon. However, at this time, Shi San was overcome with drowsiness. He barely made it to the bed before he could no longer resist sleep and immediately fell into a deep slumber. Shi San had fallen asleep suddenly, now sprawled on the bed. Lin Jing went over, positioned Shi San comfortably, and then covered him with a blanket he had prepared earlier before walking out. In recent times, Shi San's physical condition had worsened. Although he seemed fine on a day-to-day basis, his sleepiness had become more and more serious. Now, Shi San needed to sleep for at least 8 hours a day. The remainder was the only time he was truly awake. Now, there were only 3 months left until the deadline agreed upon with Shi San's grandfather. Lin Jing decided not to leave anymore and would wait here for Shi San's grandfather to return. Seeing that Shi San was sleeping soundly, Lin Jing then left the house and went into the courtyard. Lin Jing stood in the center, looking off into the distance. At the same time, Lin Jing's divine sense had already reached out, probing into his own body. During these nearly 10 years of travel, even though Lin Jing had not actively cultivated, his cultivation had still steadily reached the nascent soul peak stage. And inside Lin Jing's nascent soul, most of the demonic qi from the demon infant had already been dissipated. Previously, San's grandfather had restrained the demon infant, and Lin Jing didn't even need to suppress it. The demon infant was unable to absorb any more demonic qi. Even though he hadn't actively refined it, the demonic qi within the demon infant was constantly eroding on its own. Lin Jing's divine sense penetrated into his dantian, sensing the faint traces of demonic qi in the demon infant. The entire demon infant had also changed considerably, its previously blood-red color almost transparent now. Through the exterior of the demon infant, Lin Jing could even see the scant demonic qi remaining inside. Once the demonic qi was completely gone, the demon infant would turn into pure cultivation, ready for Lin Jing's use. At that time, Lin Jing's cultivation would surge, and in a very short period, he would enter the 6th layer of the divinity transformation. Besides the advancement of his cultivation, during this time, Lin Jing had sealed his own cultivation, taking on the mortal form to understand Tao in worldly life, which greatly enhanced his comprehension of the heavenly Tao. Lin Jing felt an epiphany, touching upon the edge of divinity transformation. Although the feeling was somewhat hazy, he firmly believed that it wouldn't be long before he could enter the divinity transformation stage. For now, the wait was for San's grandfather to return. After his return, Lin Jing would hand over San to him, and then find a place to undergo his final retreat. When he came out of seclusion, it would be time for him to undertake the tribulation and enter the divinity transformation stage. The 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. Lin Jing and San had been waiting here for 3 months. Over the 3 months, San's drowsiness had become even more severe. Currently, he was awake for less than half an hour each day. Most of the time, he lay on the bed, sound asleep. These 3 months had gone by, and the time agreed upon with San's grandfather had passed. Yet, San's grandfather had not returned. Lin Jing couldn't help frowning. San's condition was becoming more and more serious by the day, and if this continued, he was likely to truly sleep forever. Lin Jing didn't know what had happened to San's grandfather and why he had not yet returned. Although he was somewhat anxious, he had no other choice but to wait. However, grandfather San's cultivation is extraordinary. It's likely that he shouldn't have encountered any trouble. The most probable explanation is that something has delayed him. Very soon, 2 more days had passed. It wasn't until that day, while Lin Jing was examining San's body, that grandfather San returned. When grandfather San came back, his hair and beard were somewhat disheveled, and his aura was still unstable. With each breath he took, an incredibly terrifying presence emitted from him. Even though it was very faint, it was startlingly powerful. It was more formidable than anyone Lin Jing had ever encountered. After grandfather San returned, he looked at the bedridden San, furrowed his brows slightly, and quickly asked Lin Jing, "How is San doing?" Upon seeing grandfather San, Lin Jing hurriedly spoke up, "Senior, you've finally returned. San's condition is not very good. His daily period of lucidity is now less than half an hour." Hearing this, grandfather San let out a sigh of relief. That's good. As long as he can still have moments of lucidity, that's fortunate." Having said that, grandfather San then looked at Lin Jing and spoke. "You've had a hard time these past 10 years. Lin Jing waved his hand and said, "These minor matters are not worth mentioning. Without the senior's help in suppressing that demon infant, I would probably have been devoured by it by now. To speak the truth, it was the senior who provided me with great assistance." Grandfather San looked Lin Jing up and down, then nodded. "Your cultivation has indeed increased. And the demon infant inside, you must have been almost completely eradicated. How were your insights during these 10 years of travels? Have you touched upon that realm? Lin Jing nodded and replied, Yes. In a hazy sense, I have a feeling that I am not far from reaching the divinity transformation stage. Grandfather Sure San heard this and showed a pleased expression, nodding repeatedly. Good, good. There might come a time when I'll need to ask for your help. After hearing this, Lin Jing could not help but feel puzzled, and thus he asked, May I know what the senior needs me to do? Grandfather Sure San answered, On this trip, I obtained a method, a way to completely cure Sure San. I need to leave this realm and travel to the outer spatial void. At that time, I'll need your help in breaking through the realm barrier. Grandfather Sure San spoke casually, but it hit Lin Jing like a clap of thunder. Leaving this realm, the outer spatial void, and breaking the realm barrier. Each of these words sounded as fantastical as a dream to Lin Jing. Lin Jing couldn't help but wonder who Grandfather Sure San really was. The fact that he could break through the realm barrier was something Lin Jing had never heard of before, that there were people capable of such a feat. Amidst his astonishment, Lin Jing asked Grandfather Sure San, May I ask, Senior, what is your realm of cultivation? Grandfather Sure San replied in a light and casual tone, Me? I entered the Mahayana realm thousands of years ago. To be a Mahayana cultivator. Lin Jing involuntarily gasped in shock, utterly astounded. Chi refinement, foundation establishment, golden core, nascent soul, divinity transformation, solidifying body, doubt, integration, tribulation, Mahayana. 9 major realms of a cultivator, with Chi refinement being the gateway and Mahayana the pinnacle. After Mahayana, one begins preparations to ascend to the immortal realm. To think that Grandfather Sure San was a Mahayana cultivator, this placed him at the apex in the entire cultivation world. Thinking of this, Lin Jing couldn't help but think of Sure San again. The reason Sure San was in such a state was due to an attack on his parents. Who could be so audacious as to dare strike against the offspring of a Mahayana cultivator? Lin Jing estimated that the assailant was likely no ordinary individual. Either they had an earth-shattering force behind them, or they themselves were of Mahayana realm cultivation. However, these were not matters for Lin Jing to concern himself with. There was another issue Lin Jing had to consider. Following this, Lin Jing asked Grandfather Sure San, Senior, you just mentioned breaking through the realm barrier, leaving this realm? Grandfather Sure San nodded and said, Yes. After one's cultivation reaches the tribulation stage, one can indeed leave this realm and enter the void. However, breaking through the realm barrier is extremely difficult. Even for a full-strength Mahayana cultivator, it is near impossible. Upon hearing this, Lin Jing became even more perplexed. He didn't understand how Grandfather Sure San managed to open such a difficult barrier, and why he would need his assistance. With his meager cultivation, he probably wouldn't even be able to scratch the barrier. Grandpa Sure San saw Lin Jing's confusion and began to explain. Breaking through the barrier is indeed extremely difficult, but not completely impossible. The barrier is like a spiritual shield, protecting our cultivation world. A spiritual shield has its strengths and weaknesses, and naturally, so does the barrier. In certain special places, the barrier is extremely weak. By finding such a place and using a special method, one can break it, thus entering the outer spatial void. So that's how it is. Lin Jing suddenly realized. Then what do you need me to do? Lin Jing asked Grandpa Sure San. Grandpa Sure San said, I've already found the weak spot in the barrier. I need you to undergo your tribulation here, drawing upon the power of the heavenly tribulation to further weaken the barrier, thus helping me break through it. Lin Jing thought for a moment and then nodded. All right. Hearing Lin Jing's response, Grandpa Sure San nodded slightly and then spoke again. Since you need to help me break through the barrier, I can't let you be at a disadvantage. In the upcoming period, I will assist you in your cultivation until you break through to divinity transformation. Upon hearing this, Lin Jing then bowed. Thank you for your generosity, Senior. Afterward, Lin Jing spoke again to Grandpa Sure San. Senior, there's something else I need to tell you. Grandpa San looked at Lin Jing and said, What is it? San has already guessed that you're a cultivator, so I've told him the truth. After Grandpa San heard this, he turned to look at San and then said, It's fine. He would have had to know sooner or later. When San woke up, it was already noon the next day. As soon as San woke up from his deep sleep, Grandpa San hurriedly came to his side. Although San was still a bit groggy upon seeing his grandfather, he managed to smile. Grandpa San extended his hand and helped San up. It was then that a visibly turbid chi transferred from his hand into San's body. As the turbid chi entered San's body, his somewhat weakened body seemed to be injected with vitality. The grogginess in San's mind gradually dissipated, and he became clearer. Seeing San regain consciousness, Grandpa San immediately stopped the flow of the turbid chi. Grandpa, you're back. San said upon waking, looking up at his grandfather. Grandpa San nodded his head with a kind face. Yes, I've returned. Then, San looked up and saw Lin Jing standing behind. Master, said San. Lin Jing spoke with a smile. Your grandfather is back. I believe you will recover soon. San looked at his grandfather beside him. Grandpa San smiled and nodded his head. Then, Grandpa San turned to Lin Jing and said, Step outside for a moment. I want to treat San first. Lin Jing nodded and then walked out. As soon as Lin Jing left the room, spiritual power gushed out, enveloping the entire room. Lin Jing glanced at it and then diverted his gaze, finding a spot to sit down cross-legged and began to meditate. This time, Lin Jing waited for a full day and night before the spiritual power enveloping the whole room finally withdrew. When the spiritual power outside the room was withdrawn and Grandpa San emerged carrying San, Lin Jing sensed it and woke from his meditation. Seeing San now, he looked spirited and was no longer in his previous state. After the two came out, Grandpa San immediately called Lin Jing over and said bluntly, San is temporarily all right now. After saying this, Grandpa San spoke to Lin Jing again. I have to assist you with your tribulation in the coming days, and I must also make a trip to the outer spatial void. San can no longer stay here. I am going to meet an old friend and entrust San to his care. Therefore, I will be gone for some time. On hearing this, Lin Jing was stunned for a moment and then said, Senior, how long will you be gone this time? Grandpa San spoke directly. At most half a year, I will return. Wait for me here. After half a year, I will prepare for your advancement. Lin Jing then spoke, asking again, Senior, may I know when you will set out? Now, Grandpa San said, and then continued. Since San is leaving this time, I don't know when you will see each other again. Take a moment to say your goodbyes. Lin Jing looked at San, and San also looked back at Lin Jing, their eyes full of reluctance. Master, Grandpa says that when we return from the outer spatial void, he can completely heal my body, and then I can also start cultivation. Once I make progress in my cultivation, I will definitely come to find you. Lin Jing smiled and said, All right, I'll be waiting for you. Grandpa San left, and San followed him. Once again, Lin Jing was left alone. Lin Jing did not leave. He settled down in this small house, waiting for Grandpa San to return. Half a year's time is not very long, especially for cultivators who spend years in meditation. To Lin Jing, the half year felt like just a moment passing by swiftly. After half a year, Grandpa San returned as promised. Upon his return, he immediately threw several jade slips and some books to Lin Jing. Then he said to Lin Jing, These contain cultivation insights and methods to comprehend divine skills. You can have a look. Once you enter divinity transformation, you will be able to comprehend your own divine skills. After finishing, Grandpa San continued, I see that you have a strong physique. You must have practiced body refinement as well, haven't you? Lin Jing nodded and said, Yes. Grandpa San nodded, then said, "Good. During my past ventures in the ancient ruins, I acquired some cultivation insights left by an ancient body refinement cultivator. I will pass them on to you as well." Having said that, Grandpa Sher San took out an ancient-looking jade slip and handed it to Lin Jing. Lin Jing received the jade slip and then spoke. "Thank you, Elder." Grandpa Sher San just waved his hand. "No need. In the next few days, you should look over those cultivation insights, and if there is anything you don't understand, feel free to ask me." "All right," Lin Jing said. Time flew by, and soon another 10 years had passed. For ordinary people, 10 years could be described as a multitude of changes. For cultivators, however, it was like a fleeting moment. But Lin Jing was different. In these 10 years, Lin Jing made significant gains. With Grandpa Sher San's guidance, Lin Jing finally achieved full comprehension, ready to enter divinity transformation at any time. Moreover, not only his cultivation, but even his body refinement cultivation had made rapid progress with the help of Grandpa Sher San. The methods for immortal cultivators and body refinement cultivators to enter divinity transformation differ. However, Lin Jing had not known the method for body refinement cultivators until then. Originally, Lin Jing had thought about giving up the Overlord Divine physique and focus only on practicing techniques until he opened the ancient martial Tao insights Grandpa Sher San gave him and saw the first sentence. Immortal Tao refines the spirit. Martial Tao refines the soul. Only then did Lin Jing learn the method for body refinement cultivators to enter divinity transformation. Refining the soul, merging intent, enhancing the soul spirit. Refining the soul involves training the soul spirit. With a strong spirit comes a firm intent, and with intent merged into the Tao, that is the martial Tao. The method to train the soul spirit is simple. Continually refine one's intent through battle until it merges into one's body, blood, and instincts, thus achieving the martial Tao. After learning the method for body refinement cultivators to enter divinity transformation, Lin Jing then asked Grandpa Sher San for help in training and entering the martial Tao. After 10 years of training, Lin Jing was only one step away from achieving the martial Tao. That step was the heavenly tribulation. Only the heavenly tribulation could help Lin Jing complete that final step. Finally, Lin Jing was ready to undergo the tribulation. However, at this time, a significant event occurred again in the Nanming domain. It's terrible. Something big has happened. The seal of the demon race secret realm has been broken. The Howling Sky Wolf clan, along with the other 6 major demon clans, has mobilized 7 cultivators above divinity transformation, vowing to occupy the entire Nanming domain. 2 heavyweights from the Western Demon region have already been called into action, but they probably won't last long. We should flee quickly. The news of the broken seal of the demon race secret realm quickly spread. It made the entire Nanming domain tremble in fear. Especially in Nanshan Market, the closest to the demon race secret realm, chaos erupted once more. Within a day of the news spreading, 80% of the cultivators in Nanshan Immortal City had left. Some people who didn't believe it went personally to the entrance of the demon race secret realm. Even though 3 sect elders guarded the entrance of the demon race secret realm, the signs of the broken seal were still visible. Once they confirmed that the seal of the demon race secret realm was indeed broken, these people dared not stay there any longer. They immediately flew away on their swords, quickly leaving the area. As the news of the breach spread and everyone hurried to flee Nanshan Immortal City, 2 individuals were walking towards it. These 2 people were Lin Jing and Grandpa Sher San. The union of the 7 great demon clans, they really don't give up. Since that's the case, I might as well make a move and give them a warning. The one who spoke these words was Grandpa Sher San. As Lin Jing followed behind Grandpa Sher San, he couldn't help but feel reflective. The predicament of the Nanming domain had lasted for a long time already. To the low-level cultivators of the Nanming domain, it was a disaster. Yet in Grandpa Sher San's eyes, Even a union of the 7 great demon clans was not much of a concern. This was the gap between cultivators. Lin Jing followed Grandpa Shi San and quickly arrived at the entrance of the demon race secret realm. The demon race secret realm was the place where Grandpa Shi San planned to enter the outer spatial void. According to Grandfather Shi San, the demon race secret realm was not originally a realm of this world. It was an ownerless land that had fallen from beyond the realm. Therefore, the barriers of the demon race secret realm were the weakest. It just so happened that he could use this place to break through the barrier and enter the outer spatial void. Moreover, Lin Jing's tribulation also needed to be conducted within the demon race secret realm. Just as Lin Jing and Grandfather Shi San had arrived at the entrance of the demon race secret realm. At this moment, inside the demon race secret realm, 2 body refinement cultivators from the western demon region stood towering in the void, and behind them were the remaining 2 ancestors from the 3 major sects of the Naming domain. Across from them were 7 body refinement cultivators from the 7 major demon clans. All 7 body refinement cultivators emitted an extremely terrifying aura that made people shudder. The 2 body refinement cultivators from the western demon region were manageable, but the Yuan sword sect and Yuan pavilion elders behind them were struggling to cope. At this moment, they could only barely hold on. The Naming domain is human race territory. Have your incursions from the western demon region been a bit excessive? At this time, a towering figure among the cultivators in the Naming domain camp, who also had an extraordinary appearance, spoke up. Considering his attire, he should be the grand elder of the Xinglua elixir sect. He was also GC's father. No sooner had GC's father finished speaking, a body refinement cultivator from the 7 demon clans retorted immediately. What a joke! Cultivators from the Naming domain killed my people from the Howling Sky Wolf clan. My clan is not some weakling that anyone can squeeze. We must avenge this. At this moment, a body refinement cultivator from the Yuling Dao sect spoke. Your Howling Sky Wolf clan has occupied the Naming domain for over 20 years and killed so many people. What vengeance do you still need to claim? Clearly you have other ulterior motives. The Howling Sky Wolf clan's demon cultivator retorted. Quit the nonsense. It's survival of the fittest. The cultivators of this Naming domain are so weak. They deserve to be killed if they are killed. And you too. Now that our 7 clans are here today, we intend to obliterate the entire Naming domain. If you too are wise, you will leave immediately. If you are not wise, then you too might as well not leave. Having said that, the Howling Sky Wolf clan's demon cultivator's aura suddenly surged, and his eyes turned blood red. Behind him, an enormous wolf shadow hundreds of feet tall flickered in and out of view. Simultaneously, the other 6 also released their terrifying auras. Behind them, various enormous shadows appeared. Snakes, eagles, bears, and tigers. Clearly, those were their true forms. Seeing this, GC's father and the body refinement cultivator from the Yuling Dao sect both furrowed their brows. At this point, GC's father, frowning, spoke again. Do you demons truly wish to start a war? Since you will not retreat, then you might as well stay. The Howling Sky Wolf clan's demon cultivator seemed impatient as he charged towards the 2 men. And the giant wolf shadow behind him shifted from illusion to reality, lunging at the 2 men. As the Howling Sky Wolf clan's demon cultivator made his move, the other few followed. The shadows behind them all turned from illusion to reality, emitting a terrifying, murderous aura, lunging at the 2 men. Upon seeing this, the 2 men's auras surged dramatically, and behind them, 2 huge, human-like shadows suddenly appeared, each identical to the 2 men. After the shadows appeared, GC's father began to make a move, reaching out and slapping backwards. And at the same moment, the shadow behind him shifted from illusion to reality and struck a palm backwards. Originally, the elders from the Yuan sword sect and Yuan pavilion stood behind, but under the oppressive aura of the 7 body refinement demon cultivators across from them, they were utterly immobilized. GC's father's slap sent the 2 flying out of the area. Meanwhile, the body refinement cultivator from the Yuan Dao sect also made his move, pulling out a golden bell magical treasure. He then activated the bell, and immediately, invisible ripples emanated from the bell. And behind him, even larger ripples spread out in all directions from the giant shadow's hands. The Howling Sky Wolf Clan's demon cultivator was the fastest and soon approached the ripples. He who was initially charging at the forefront suddenly paused. The red glow in his eyes also diminished slightly. Soon, roar. With a roar, the Howling Sky Wolf Clan's demon cultivator resumed his action. Seeing this, the other demon cultivators made preparations in advance. The ripples passed over them, but failed to affect them in the slightest. Seeing the 7 solidifying body demon cultivators charging together, GC's father also hurried forward to help fend off their attack. Facing 2 against 7, their situation was dangerous at this moment. Moreover, the aura bursting forth from those 7 demon cultivators was one more terrifying than the other, clearly showing no intention of sparing them. It seemed they were ready to kill them both right there. GC's father and the solidifying body cultivator from Yuan Dao sect also noticed this point. Both of them were going all out, the gigantic phantoms behind them becoming more substantial, and their respective magical treasures emitted dazzling light, charging towards the demon cultivator from the Howling Sky Wolf clan at the forefront. Boom, boom, boom. Consecutive loud noises sounded as their magical treasures collided with the solidifying body demon cultivator from the Howling Sky Wolf clan, who was the first to be repelled. Immediately following, the attacks from the remaining 6 solidifying body demon cultivators arrived right after, forcing the 2 to quickly defend, but they were still sent flying far back by the joint attacks of several people. At the same time, the aftershocks of their battle also spread far and wide. Just as battle had already left the area, they were in extremely chaotic. On the ground, a huge pit with a radius of several miles appeared, and the originally dense forest around the pit was now completely bare. Originally, Cheng Yuan Sword Sect and the old ancestor from Iyun Pavilion, who had already left the range of their battle, were also not spared from the aftershocks. The 2 were forced to retreat even further before finally stabilizing their forms. Fortunately, GC's father had sent them both away just now. Otherwise, the aftershock from that battle alone could have badly injured them both. At this moment, looking in the direction of the ongoing battle, both frowned deeply. The sudden counterattack from the 7 demon clans was too unexpected, and they hadn't been able to prepare in advance. Even if they called for help from the Western Demon region now, it would already be too late. Moreover, the Nanming domain itself did not have any cultivators above the Divinity transformation stage. It was now entirely up to the 2 solidifying body cultivators who came to support from the Western Demon region. But with 2 against 7, their chances of victory were slim indeed. Even facing those 7 solidifying body demon cultivators, it wasn't just about winning. Whether they could even escape was difficult to say. Looking at the people still fighting ahead, both felt a wave of despair. This time, the action of the demon clan from the Western region seemed intent on annihilating all the cultivators from Nanming domain. Suddenly, GC's father and the solidifying body cultivator from Yuan Dao sect retreated swiftly, distancing themselves from the 7 demon cultivators. Only then did it become apparent that both were bleeding at the corners of their mouths. Clearly, both were seriously injured. On the other hand, the 7 opposing demon cultivators were brimming with fighting spirit, and even though they had some injuries, they seemed to be of little concern. After retreating, the 2 kept a close watch on the 7 demon cultivators and said, "Attacking Nanming domain is just your excuse. Your real target is us too." GC's father looked toward the other side and spoke with a frown. However, the demon cultivator from the Howling Sky Wolf clan grinned at GC's father and chuckled. Of course it's for you too." As his words fell, the other 6 solidifying body demon cultivators also burst into laughter. "Ha ha! You're only realizing this now? Too late." Then, the demon cultivator from the Howling Sky Wolf clan addressed the others. Get ready to set up the formation. It's rare that we get a chance to reduce the top combat power of Xingluo Elixir Sect and Yulingdao Sect. We definitely can't let these two get away this time. Once they're dead, our mission will be considered complete. Rest assured, the other demon cultivators replied. Upon hearing this, the pupils of the older ancestors from Qingyuan Sword Sect and Yun Pavilion constricted, utterly taken aback by this revelation as the main intention of the demon clan from the western region. Subsequently, those few demon cultivators quickly dispersed, surrounding GC's father and the solidifying body cultivator from Yulingdao Sect from all directions, and a demon cultivator with a giant eagle phantom behind him, following the sign from the member of the Howling Sky Wolf clan, charged towards the two of them. Clearly, they intended to deal with them first. The two tried to escape, but were locked in by the aura of the solidifying body demon cultivators, making it impossible for them to flee. In his eyes, their speed was simply not enough. Seeing the solidifying body demon cultivator with the giant eagle phantom charging towards them with a fierce smile, ready to launch an attack. It was then that a sudden change occurred. At that moment, two figures stepped through the void, heading towards them. These two individuals, one old and one young. The younger of the two possessed cultivation at the nascent soul peak stage and had an aura that was solid and slightly fluctuating uncontrollably. Clearly, he had achieved full enlightenment and was about to step into the divine transformation realm. The older individual, however, exhibited no trace of aura, appearing just like an ordinary elderly man. The two of them walked through the void as if walking through an uninhabited land, seemingly indifferent to the ongoing events around them. This sudden appearance not only surprised the two old ancestors, but also the Eagle clan's solidifying body demon cultivator, who was momentarily taken aback. Then, the other 6 demon cultivators preparing to activate the formation, along with the 2 cultivators from the 2 major sects who were surrounded, also noticed the elderly and the young man. Thus, everyone's attention turned to these 2 unexpected arrivals. The Eagle clan demon cultivator was the first to react, glancing at the youth before quickly shifting his gaze to the elder. The young man had reached the peak of the nascent soul cultivation. Although it wasn't low in their eyes, he wasn't worth noticing. But the elder was different. Despite no aura fluctuations emanating from him, the elder walked through the air as if treading on level ground. The giant eagle demon cultivator frowned and then realized what was happening. He immediately extended his divine sense towards the elder. However, just as his divine sense reached out, he saw the elder suddenly look up, his gaze becoming sharp as he looked back at him. Then, the divine sense of the giant eagle demon cultivator, as if struck by a heavy blow, made a sound as he involuntarily spat out a mouthful of blood. Immediately after, the giant eagle demon cultivator turned pale and retreated frantically, not stopping until he stood with several other demon cultivators. Only then did he stop retreating. Then, looking at the elder with a face full of terror, he said, "Who exactly are you?" The old man and the young man who had suddenly appeared were naturally San and Lin Jing. They entered the demon race secret realm just in time to encounter this standoff. And as soon as San entered the secret realm, he became aware of the situation, but he didn't rush over immediately. Instead, he walked leisurely toward this location together with Lin Jing. It was only a moment ago that they had arrived here. Seeing that their companions hadn't even made a move and the giant eagle demon cultivator was already injured, the 7 demon cultivators became highly vigilant and hurriedly regrouped. Seeing this situation, even GC's father, who had been surrounded, and the solidifying body cultivator from the Yulingdao sect, couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. The two of them then turned to look at Lin Jing and San. Seeing that both were very unfamiliar, GC's father couldn't help but feel puzzled. He didn't understand when such powerful figures had appeared in the Naming domain. "Who are you?" At this moment, a demon cultivator from the Howling Sky Wolf clan, looking at San warily, asked the same question. San didn't reply, but instead said to them, "Who instructed you to invade the Naming domain?" "The demon emperor," San's gaze was sharp as he looked at the several demon cultivators. Their faces went pale under his gaze, as though they were falling into an ice cellar, and they couldn't even muster the courage to retort. No, not the Demon Emperor. The Demon Emperor has been in seclusion for over 1,000 years. We were following the instructions of the elders in our clan. Upon hearing this, San let out a cold snort. Umph! The ancestors of the Howling Sky Wolf clan have quite the nerve. Following that, San's presence suddenly soared like a deep mountain, turning towards the other demon cultivators. Are all of you also? This tremendous presence left the demon cultivators in shock. Even their ancestors were far inferior to the person before them. San's presence pressed down on them like a mountain, and under its oppression, they didn't dare to utter any lies. All of them involuntarily nodded their heads. San looked at them and then spoke. Go back and tell the elders of your clans that the Nanming domain is not your demon clan's backyard, to come and go as you please. This time, I'm giving you a warning. If I discover that your demon clan attempts to take over the Nanming domain again, for each clan that comes, I will wipe out one. Having said that, San waved his hand. Then, a dazzling golden light emerged from San's hand, and this light passed over the bodies of the several demon cultivators like a soft veil. Lin Jing couldn't even detect any aura from the golden light. However, as soon as the light brushed over the demon cultivators, cries of shock immediately erupted. No, my cultivation. How could this be? Hearing the voices, Lin Jing immediately looked at the demon cultivators. He saw that the shadows behind the once domineering, solidifying body demon cultivators were shattering, and their cultivations were rapidly declining. In the blink of an eye, their cultivation levels fell from the solidifying body stage to the divinity transformation stage. And it didn't stop there. Divinity transformation peak stage, divinity transformation late stage, divinity transformation mid stage. Their cultivation levels kept plummeting until they all dropped to the early stages of divinity transformation, where their cultivation finally stabilized and ceased to fall. At this moment, after exhausting all efforts to no avail, the faces of those demon cultivators turned ashen. Seeing this scene, the remaining people were extremely shocked. In their eyes, Grandfather San commanded even more respect. In contrast, the 7 demon cultivators' cultivation was reduced, directly from the body condensation stage to the divinity transformation stage, an entire major realm. This sudden blow nearly caused them to collapse. Now, after persistent trials, the demon cultivators realized their cultivation could not be recovered, and looking at Grandfather San, they became extremely angry. Being stripped of their cultivation was more unbearable than being outright killed. But they knew they were no match for Grandfather San. Although they were angry, they did not rashly charge forward. However, at this moment, a teleportation array in the depths of the demon race secret realm suddenly emitted a strong light. This teleportation array was the one set up by the Howling Sky Wolf clan that directly connected from the secret realm in the Western Demon region to the demon race secret realm. When the Howling Sky Wolf clan first entered the Nanming domain, they traveled through this teleportation array to the demon race secret realm, and then from there, they entered the Nanming domain. As the light grew stronger, a figure clad in white appeared atop the teleportation array. After appearing, this figure in white vanished from the spot. Shortly after, the vanished figure in white suddenly appeared in front of those demon cultivators. It turned out that this figure in white was an old man. He was thin and hunchbacked, yet his eyes were like the bright moon in the night sky, deep yet luminous. Upon seeing this person, the demon cultivators seemed to have found their backbone and hurriedly gathered around him. Ancestor of the wolves, they bowed and said. The demon cultivator of the Howling Sky Wolf clan also quickly bowed. Forefather, it turned out that this old man was the forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan. Upon arriving, the forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan took a quick glance at them before fixing his vigilant gaze on Grandfather San. Especially the astonishing aura emanating from Grandfather San made him wary of making any rash moves. He had felt something was amiss. He sensed that something unexpected had occurred in the demon race secret realm and rushed over to check it out. Yet he had not expected that the person appearing in the demon race secret realm would be so formidable. The aura exuding from the opponent was enough to keep him from acting recklessly. "May I inquire who you are?" asked the forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan, hesitantly addressing Grandfather San. Grandfather San gave the forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan a look and simply stated, "Eastern Spirit Realm, Yuan." Eastern Spirit Realm, the family. Upon hearing this, the face of the forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan immediately turned pale. GC's father and the solidifying body cultivator from the Yuling Dao sect apparently also knew of Grandfather San's origins, and their gaze towards Grandfather San became even more reverent. Knowing the identity of the person before him, the forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan frowned deeply. Although he did not want to offend the other party, he looked at the several cultivators beside him whose cultivation had been stripped away. He gritted his teeth and took a step forward. "I wonder what offense my demon clan has caused the senior for such anger to have stripped away their cultivation. Senior, they are the core descendants of my demon clan, carrying the critical responsibility for the clan's survival. I hope that the senior can restore their cultivation for the sake of the demon emperor." Just as the forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan finished speaking, they immediately heard a cold snort coming from Grandfather San. Following that, the forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan felt himself engulfed by an extremely terrifying presence, accompanied by a fleeting intent to kill. Unable to bear it any longer, the forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan roared angrily, and then a huge white wolf phantom emerged. The phantom quickly shrank and merged into the body of the forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan. At this point, the forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan's eyes turned blood red. His aura became wild and spread around him, causing the demon cultivators around him to retreat consecutively, forced to avoid him. But soon after, Grandfather San simply pointed forward, and a streak of green light shot from his hand, aiming straight at the forehead of the forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan. The forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan wanted to dodge, but he could not react in time. He was hit by the green light. The forefather of the Howling Sky Wolf clan, struck by the green light, had his wild aura instantly dissipate, and his whole being immediately slumped. Then, they heard Grandfather San say coldly, "You have no right to bargain with me. If it weren't for the Demon Emperor's sake, I wouldn't have spared any of the 7 great demon clans. Go back and tell the Demon Emperor that the Naming Domain is not your demon clan's backyard to come and go as you please. If I find out that your demon clan is attempting to meddle with the Naming Domain again, I wouldn't mind slaughtering my way through the Western Demon region." Ultimately, the elder of the Howling Sky Wolf clan still fled in disgrace, bringing along those 7 demon cultivators whose cultivation had fallen. He only possessed Dao integration cultivation, and compared to Grandfather San, the gap was truly too vast. If not for the Demon Emperor, it's likely that none of them would have escaped. After the elder of the Howling Sky Wolf clan had led all the members of the Demon clan away, Grandfather San even more so casually struck, directly destroying the entire teleportation array. Once the teleportation array was destroyed, the entire demon clan could no longer use it to invade the Naming Domain. From then on, the Naming Domain was finally completely safe. After those members of the demon clan had left, the remaining few immediately stepped forward, clasping their hands to Grandfather San. "Thank you, Elder, for your assistance." Grandfather San glanced at them and then spoke. "I came to this secret realm ultimately for my own matters. You need not thank me." As soon as Grandfather San finished speaking, the elder of the Qingyuan sword sect spoke up. "Grandfather you are too modest. By taking action to drive away the demon clan and saving the Naming Domain from perils, such a great favor is unforgettable." And the elder of Yun Pavilion also hurriedly chimed in. "Yes, Elder, you are indeed too modest. This time Grandfather Sure San didn't respond, but looked at them and directly said, "For the next few days, I need to borrow this secret realm for some time. You folks should leave first." Grandfather Sure San's words were firm, leaving no room for doubt. This was not a discussion, but a direct notification. The four looked up at Grandfather Sure San, although they did not know why he wanted to temporarily use the Demon Clan's secret realm. They still respectfully said, "May I ask, Elder, how long you plan to stay in this secret realm? This way, we can prepare to guard the entrance properly and prevent anyone from accidentally entering." "Not long, a few days at least, a month at most. Once he exits, you all may come and go as you please in this secret realm," Grandfather Sure San directly told Lin Jing. At this moment, they also turned their heads, looking towards Lin Jing. They did not ask further, but directly clasped their hands towards Grandfather Sure San. "Very well, Grandfather Sure. We will leave now. Rest assured, Elder, we will not let anyone enter the secret realm during this period." Grandfather Sure San nodded slightly. Then the few once again clasped their hands towards Grandfather Sure San, and then turned around, prepared to leave. But just at that moment, Grandfather Sure San suddenly spoke up, stopping them. The few turned around, clasping their hands. "Elder, may I ask if there is anything else you require?" Grandfather Sure San directly spoke. "I've heard that up until now, you're still seeking the murderer who killed the elder of the Nanming immortal sect, aren't you?" "Yes." The few looked at each other and hurriedly responded. Since the elder before them brought up this matter, the demise of the Nanming immortal sect's elder might have another explanation. Grandfather Sure San continued, "No need to look further." He disregarded the name of the three major sects of the Nanming domain, cultivated strange demonic techniques, and all was simply retribution he brought upon himself. The few suddenly realized and looked at Grandfather Sure San with grateful eyes. "Thank you, Elder, for ridding the Nanming domain of another scourge. Otherwise, once this person's demonic power was fully developed, there's no telling how many people he would have harmed." Grandfather Sure San did not rebut, but directly waved his hand at them. "All right, you may go, yes." Having said that, the few clasped their hands to Grandfather Sure San, bade farewell, and then departed from the place. After the four had left, within this entire Demon Clan secret realm, only Lin Jing and Grandfather Sure San remained. Subsequently, Grandfather Sure San led Lin Jing, flying towards the depths of the Demon Clan secret realm. Only after they had flown a considerable distance did the two stop on a rock shoal deep within the secret realm. In front of the rock shoal was a desert, exactly the place they had passed on their way in. Behind the rock shoal, it was enveloped in gray mist. Upon arriving there, Grandfather Sure San first looked around and then peered into the gray mist. A moment later, Grandfather Sure San nodded, seeming very satisfied. "Right here. You shall undergo your tribulation here." After saying this, Grandfather Sure San looked at Lin Jing and said, "You are a body refinement cultivator who wishes to advance your body refinement cultivation to divinity transformation. This tribulation should not rely on any external aids, not even elixir medicine. Only by enduring the tribulation lightning to temper your body can your path into martial Tao truly begin." Lin Jing nodded. "Elder, I understand." But Grandfather Sure San, as if still concerned, spoke again. "Also, that final bolt of tribulation lightning mainly targets the soul spirit. A moment's inattention can lead to losing your way and requires extra caution." Lin Jing nodded, indicating he understood. Grandfather Sure San nodded, then turned and walked away from the spot. This place was where Lin Jing would undergo his tribulation, and being too close could potentially involve him. Therefore, he needed to temporarily leave the area. Lin Jing, after Grandfather Sure San had left, walked towards the shoal, then chose a spot that looked favorable and sat down to begin his tribulation. After Lin Jing sat down, he then started circulating his cultivation technique, adjusting his state, and attracting the heavenly tribulation. Lin Jing sat cross-legged, circulating his cultivation technique, his aura also continuously rising. This tribulation did not take too long. The skies soon reacted, becoming oppressive. For this tribulation, Lin Jing had prepared for a long time. So as soon as he released his aura, it quickly triggered the heavenly tribulation's response. In the sky, the clouds of tribulation also began to gather. The power of this heavenly tribulation should be extraordinary, as evident from the clouds in the sky. That day, the dark tribulation clouds in the sky gathered above Lin Jing's head, quickly covering the entire nearby region. The heavens and earth turned from daylight to nightfall in an instant. The scope of the tribulation clouds was several times larger than when Lin Jing had advanced to the nascent soul stage. However, this was not all, for at this moment, the tribulation clouds above Lin Jing's head were still amassing, showing no signs of stopping. At this time, Grandfather Sure San, who was watching all this from a distance, furrowed his brows slightly. Time passed, and several hours later, the tribulation clouds above Lin Jing were still increasing. By now, the tribulation clouds gathered above Lin Jing had grown to several times their initial size. Grandfather Sure San, who had already kept his distance, seeing this situation, had no choice but to retreat even further away. At this moment, he looked at Lin Jing at the heart of the tribulation clouds with a trace of worry flitting across his eyes. However, now that the tribulation clouds had gathered, the heavenly tribulation was about to manifest, and it was already impossible for Lin Jing to give up. Fortunately, it wasn't long before the tribulation clouds finished gathering and ceased to grow. After the completion, streaks of thunder began to appear within the tribulation clouds. It was clear the tribulation clouds had finished amassing. Next, the heavenly tribulation was going to arrive. At this moment, at the very center of the tribulation clouds, above Lin Jing's head, the pitch-black clouds would occasionally flash with purple lightning. The tribulation lightning that condensed was that purple lightning. It must be noted that during the advancement to nascent soul, only the final 3 bolts of tribulation lightning were purple. And this was merely the first. At this time, Lin Jing also felt the terror of the heavenly tribulation thunder above. He stood up and activated the Overlord Divine Physique with a layer of dark golden light emerging from his body, enveloping him entirely. At this time, above Lin Jing's head, the purple lightning became more and more intense, like countless purple-gold dragons shuttling through the tribulation clouds. And within the tribulation clouds, the rolling thunderous rumble continued to emanate incessantly. It was as if mighty dragons were growling. With these growls came an increasingly oppressive and terrifying aura of dread. Boom! A blinding bolt of purple lightning dragon struck down, followed by a roar as fierce as a dragon's bellow. This first bolt of tribulation lightning descended, striking directly towards Lin Jing. In front of the colossal purple lightning dragon, Lin Jing was like an insignificant ant, instantly engulfed by the lightning. After a few breaths, the first bolt of tribulation lightning dissipated after exhausting its strength. Following the dissipation of the first bolt, Lin Jing, who had been submerged in lightning, reappeared. At this time, after the tribulation lightning, a huge pit 1,000 zhang in radius had been carved into the ground below Lin Jing's feet. The pit was profound, the result of the very first bolt of tribulation lightning. And Lin Jing's clothes had been shredded by this bolt, revealing his robust physique, with several obvious wounds upon his body. Lin Jing looked at the wounds on his body and frowned. This first bolt of tribulation lightning had injured him, even though he had activated the Overlord Divine Physique. This was the first time Lin Jing had encountered such a situation. He had not expected the Divinity transformation, heavenly tribulation, to be so strong. Not just Lin Jing, even Grandfather Sure San, who was observing Lin Jing undergo the tribulation from a distance, couldn't help but furrow his brows, murmuring to himself, "What's going on with this lad? Why is his heavenly tribulation so powerful? Could it be that he has cultivated some special cultivation technique?" This kind of heavenly tribulation is simply not something a cultivator of his level should be able to withstand. Having said that, he looked at Lin Jing at the center of the tribulation clouds, seeing that he was not in serious trouble, then turned his gaze away and spoke again. Forget it. Let's wait and see. If things don't look good, I'll have to forcibly intervene and save his life. Nascent soul cultivators possess strong regenerative abilities. They can even regenerate severed limbs, so the wounds on Lin Jing's body were swiftly healed. After repairing these wounds, Lin Jing looked up again at the tribulation clouds above. Because the gathering for the second bolt of tribulation lightning was nearly complete, and it was about to descend. Lin Jing had to concentrate his cultivation to face the incoming second bolt of tribulation lightning. Boom! This second bolt of tribulation lightning also descended on cue. The second bolt was stronger than the first, causing Lin Jing's newly healed wounds to tear open again. Moreover, these wounds were even more numerous than before. After the tribulation lightning passed, there were still strands of purple lightning arcs lingering at the wounds, continuing to wreak havoc and hindering Lin Jing's recovery. However, these arcs were not too difficult to deal with, and were cleared out easily. After clearing the arcs, and once again healing his injuries, Lin Jing looked up again at the sky, and in the third bolt of tribulation, lightning suddenly descended. The signs before its fall were not very noticeable. However, its power was not diminished in the least. The wounds that burst open on Lin Jing's body from this bolt were more than double the previous ones. He looked as if he had been retrieved from a pool of blood. After this third bolt of tribulation, lightning vanished. Lin Jing was forced to sit cross-legged and accelerate his recovery. However, after this third bolt of tribulation lightning, another change occurred within the tribulation clouds above Lin Jing. What was initially the purple lightning slowly disappeared from view, and within the tribulation clouds, only the thunderous rumbles continued, with no other lightning to be seen. However, upon closer inspection, one would realize it wasn't that there was no lightning. Rather, the flickering had turned pitch black, blending seamlessly into the ink-like tribulation clouds. If you don't look carefully, you simply won't notice. The extremely potent black tribulation lightning started appearing from the fourth strike this time. Lin Jing's tribulation was indeed extraordinarily perilous. At this moment, seeing the black tribulation lightning, Grandfather Sher San's brow furrowed even tighter, and in his hand, a faint blue light was vaguely visible. The fourth strike of tribulation lightning was not as swift. It finally gave Lin Jing a moment to breathe. By the time the fourth strike of tribulation lightning was ready, Lin Jing was prepared, just waiting for the lightning to strike. Boom! This fourth strike of tribulation lightning, like darkness descending, completely engulfed Lin Jing within the black column of lightning. And within that black column of lightning, Lin Jing instantly felt as if his flesh was being ground in a mill. Such pain was almost unbearable for ordinary people. But Lin Jing clenched his teeth tightly, enduring it directly. Here it comes. Lin Jing instantly knew in his heart. He knew this moment had finally arrived. Long before the tribulation, Lin Jing had learned about this from the martial Dao insights that Grandfather Sher San had given him. In the practice of martial Dao, transforming into divinity is crucial. Before the divinity transformation, one could only be called a body refinement cultivator. Only after entering divinity transformation could one be said to have stepped onto the martial Dao. And entering the martial Dao required passing this very hurdle. To refine the soul, to merge the intent with one's unbreakable will, merging it into every limb and even into the bloodstream. Lin Jing knew this step would be painful, but he did not realize it would be so excruciating. And in such a situation, he could rely on no one but himself. This fourth strike of tribulation lightning lasted for 9 breaths. 9 is the extreme number, and 9 breaths is also the longest duration for the tribulation lightning. After 9 breaths, the tribulation lightning dispersed. When Lin Jing was seen again, the flesh on his body was all exposed, looking extremely terrifying. And on his body, the roaming black lightning arcs continued to erode his flesh relentlessly. However, Lin Jing at this moment had no time to pay attention to those black lightning arcs, because the next strike of tribulation lightning was coming. Skin, muscles, viscera. The 3 strikes of tribulation lightning respectively corresponded to 3 types of body parts. But from the 4th strike on, it was the real martial Tao heavenly tribulation. The first 3 strikes were just appetizers. Boom! Another strike of tribulation lightning fell. This strike like a massive boulder pressing down fiercely. It caused Lin Jing's entire skeleton to shatter immediately, and those black lightning arcs penetrated directly through his already tattered flesh, merging into his entire skeletal structure. When the tribulation lightning dissipated, Lin Jing collapsed completely to the ground. Because at this moment, Lin Jing's entire skeleton could no longer support him to stand. Just as the 5th strike of tribulation lightning had barely dissipated, following closely, rumble, the 6th strike of tribulation lightning arrived on cue. This 6th tribulation lightning corresponds to the viscera. Under this tribulation lightning, Lin Jing's viscera instantaneously cracked open. Lin Jing hastily gathered spiritual power, trying to repair the viscera within his body. He was but a nascent soul cultivator then, not yet having achieved divinity transformation. If the body were severely injured, a nascent soul cultivator would still die, at most leaving behind only the nascent soul. But under this heavenly tribulation, a nascent soul without a body's protection was undoubtedly doomed to die. Only by achieving divinity transformation could a divine transformation cultivator survive. As long as the soul spirit was not extinguished, they could reconvene a body at any time. This sequence of tribulation lightnings was indeed too powerful. After that 6th tribulation lightning, Lin Jing laid crumpled on the ground like a torn sack of cloth. At this point, nearly all his flesh was gone, every bone in his body was broken, and even his internal organs were all split apart, only enveloped by spiritual power, thus not completely shattered. Yet even under such circumstances, Lin Jing's body was still engulfed by black lightning arcs, continuously ravaging his body. At this time, Lin Jing's breath was faint, and his entire body was racked with endless agony. Under such extreme pain, even he almost passed out, but he could not afford to faint, as doing so would mean certain death. From death comes life. This is the first step into the path of martial Tao. Now Lin Jing had to grit his teeth and endure. While enduring, Lin Jing continuously gathered spiritual power, repairing the injuries on his body. Meanwhile, from a distance, Grandfather Shi San, watching Lin Jing's dire state, couldn't help but tremble for a moment with his hands behind his back, though he quickly steadied himself, and his face still had a deeply furrowed brow. After this 6th tribulation lightning, the tribulation clouds showed no movement for a long time, nor did they dissipate. It seemed as though those 3 consecutive tribulation lightnings had exhausted the heavenly tribulation power, now gathering strength once more. It was during this time, though, that the wounds on Lin Jing's body were slowly healing. And the healing began slowly, but accelerated progressively. At this moment, as his own injuries healed, Lin Jing's eyes grew increasingly bright. Refining the body, integrating the intent. Lin Jing had already completed body refining, and now, through this transition from death to life, was the integration of intent. When Lin Jing's injuries were completely healed, and he stood up again, he had undergone an earth-shattering transformation. Not just physically, but more so in his aura. His entire demeanor had become extremely fierce. It was as if he possessed a confidence that transcended the heavens and the earth. As Lin Jing's injuries healed, he looked up at the sky, his eyes twinkling with sharpness. At this moment, the tribulation clouds in the sky continually roiled. The dull rumbling sounds continued, and the black lightning arcs were also converging towards the center of the tribulation clouds. Then, boom! A thunderous roar resounded. The seventh tribulation lightning descended in response. This seventh tribulation lightning, though also black, was several times thicker than the sixth tribulation lightning just then. As this seventh tribulation lightning fell, Lin Jing surged skyward, charging directly into it. The moment they made contact, countless wounds burst open on Lin Jing's body, and copious amounts of fresh blood fell. But Lin Jing merely furrowed his brow slightly, then without any hesitation, plunged directly into the lightning. Having just undergone a rebirth through death, integrating intent into his body wasn't enough. Next, Lin Jing still needed to use those last 3 tribulation lightnings to experience another phoenix-like rebirth, thus completely integrating the intent, stepping into the divinity transformation stage of the martial Tao. 9 breaths. This 7th tribulation lightning was the same, lasting for 9 breaths. When the 7th tribulation lightning disappeared, atop that massive pit, only Lin Jing remained. As the 7th tribulation lightning struck, Lin Jing even felt fluctuations ripple through the surrounding space. At this moment, his body was torn and flesh burst open. Even the broken bones inside were exposed. However, though the 7th tribulation lightning was fierce after enduring the earlier strikes, Lin Jing's recovery speed had increased significantly. It wasn't long before Lin Jing's body began to heal once again. Even though this 7th tribulation lightning was powerful enough to cause spatial fluctuations, it still failed to inflict fatal damage on Lin Jing. Boom! While Lin Jing still hadn't fully recovered, the 8th tribulation lightning suddenly descended. The pitch-black lightning, like a waterfall, fell from the tribulation clouds, creating ripples wherever it covered due to the spatial fluctuations. Then, the lightning struck directly down, engulfing Lin Jing once more. Grandpa San remained standing in the distance, watching Lin Jing weather the tribulation. At this moment, his face was calm as he watched Lin Jing being swallowed by the lightning from within the clouds. And the hands he held behind his back were, without anyone noticing, already withdrawn. After the 8th tribulation lightning dissipated, Lin Jing re-emerged. Though he was in disarray, the aura around Lin Jing had grown even stronger after being tempered by the lightning. Following the 8th tribulation lightning, the speed of recovery from his injuries had increased once more. And, after recovering from the injuries, the dark gold light that had been reflecting on Lin Jing's body had completely vanished. This time, there was no light covering his body. Though he no longer had the protective layer of reflected light, Lin Jing felt his body had never been in better condition. It was only now that he truly sensed the terrifying power hidden within his body. At this point, Lin Jing's body had fully recovered. However, the clouds above his head seemed to still be brewing something. Lin Jing then raised his head, looking upwards. He saw the black tribulation clouds starting to converge towards the center. And as the clouds drew closer together, the aura emanating from within grew, increasingly terrifying. Grandpa Sen also witnessed this scene from afar. Upon seeing this, he furrowed his brows after an initial moment of confusion, peering at the tribulation cloud above Lin Jing, lost in thought. And then, the tribulation cloud above Lin Jing's head, after converging to a certain point, started to transform, no longer black, but shifting to other colors. Witnessing this, Grandpa San was immediately struck with dismay. Impossible! How could he have attracted such a terrifying heavenly tribulation? Grandpa Sen noticed something amiss, and Lin Jing, being directly targeted by the tribulation cloud, felt it even more intensely. At this moment, the tribulation cloud above his head had changed from black to multicolored. This multicolored tribulation cloud looked beautiful, but the aura it emitted was unimaginably terrifying. Unsure what kind of heavenly tribulation this was, Lin Jing was deeply shocked just by the aura it released. Furthermore, within the cloud, multicolored lightning arcs occasionally shuttled through. and the aura emanating from these lightning arcs was several times more terrifying than that of the clouds themselves. Just then, a voice suddenly reached Lin Jing's ears. This final tribulation lightning has unexpectedly changed, turning into the legendary Silent Extermination Celestial Lightning. The Silent Extermination Celestial Lightning is a type of tribulation lightning that appears only when one is transcending to become an immortal, its power extremely formidable. The voice abruptly stopped and then continued after a pause. No, that's not right. The Silent Extermination Celestial Lightning is of 9 colors, not just multicolored. This isn't the Silent Extermination Celestial Lightning. Although this isn't the Silent Extermination Celestial Lightning, the aura of this tribulation lightning is still not something you can withstand at your current level. If you have any magical treasures, use them all. You must think of every possible way to survive this last tribulation lightning. Also, remember to steady your soul spirit. This voice belonged to Grandpa San. Upon hearing this, Lin Jing hurriedly summoned his Ling Jing flawless sword. Then he brought out a shield. This shield, which he had obtained alongside the 5 Elements Fire command, had been forgotten by Lin Jing for a long time. It had only come to mind recently. In addition to these 2 items, there was also the Great Dream Ancient Mirror and a gourd. Although those 2 magical treasures were not of low rank, Lin Jing had not refined them, and even if he took them out, they would be of no use. After taking out the treasures, Lin Jing quickly called upon the system, then said, "System, activate bonus attachment." This last tribulation lightning was mainly aimed at the soul spirit, and Lin Jing dared not be the slightest bit careless. Ding! Bonus attachment activation successful, deducting 5 harvest points. Remaining harvest points, 18,825. With the bonus attachment activated, Lin Jing's divine sense surged instantaneously. Meanwhile, the tribulation cloud above Lin Jing's head pressed down lower and lower, and the multicolored lightning within grew ever more dazzling. Clearly, this last tribulation lightning was about to form. Boom! A thunderous roar resounded. In the sky, a dazzling multicolored tribulation lightning struck down. This final tribulation lightning, after brewing for a long while, ultimately descended. Lin Jing quickly maneuvered the shield to meet it. Wherever the multicolored tribulation lightning passed, space distorted and even the thinnest spatial cracks began to appear. The Tao artifact shield, upon just touching the lightning, instantly cracked and then shattered completely. Following that, the Ling Jing flawless sword, which had accompanied Lin Jing for a long time, couldn't withstand the heavenly tribulation for long, despite being a supreme grade Tao artifact. Just like that shield, it completely shattered. After destroying 2 of Lin Jing's Tao artifact-level magical treasures, the Wu Tsai Tribulation lightning still struck down upon Lin Jing's head. Afterward, the Wu Tsai Tribulation lightning completely engulfed Lin Jing. This final Wu Tsai Tribulation lightning lasted only 5 breaths before it dissipated. And after the tribulation lightning had passed, Lin Jing's figure was nowhere to be seen. After this tribulation lightning had dissipated, the Wu Tsai clouds in the sky also slowly dispersed. The heavens and earth returned to a state of clarity. Only, along with the tribulation lightning, Lin Jing had vanished as well. After the tribulation clouds had disappeared, Grandfather San hurried forward. He arrived where Lin Jing had just faced his tribulation. The place where Lin Jing had faced the tribulation, struck by the tribulation lightning, had now formed a deep pit of unknown depth. Grandfather San approached the pit and peered inside. To his surprise, a familiar aura pulsated from deep within the pit. Grandfather San immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Next, he entered the pit and saw a figure enveloped in a blood mist within. The aura of Lin Jing was indeed emanating from this blood mist. Grandfather San extended his divine sense to probe Lin Jing in the blood mist, and only then did he completely relax. Afterward, he took out a stone token from his body and placed it in front of Lin Jing on an outcropped rock. He then spoke to Lin Jing. I am leaving. If one day you come to the Eastern Spirit Realm and encounter any difficulties, you can always come to the Shi family for help." Having said this, he gave Lin Jing one last look and then left the pit. Grandfather Shi San, after leaving the pit, appeared right outside of it. He then waved his hand and a light barrier fell, covering the pit. Next, the aura around Grandfather Shi San surged as a stone pagoda suddenly appeared in his hand. This stone pagoda, though it appeared simple, was surrounded by mist, clearly not an ordinary item. In the next moment, Grandfather Shi San's gaze was sharp as lightning. He directly offered up the pagoda, casting it toward the empty space before him. As the stone pagoda flew out, with a boom, it smashed into the void ahead, causing the surrounding space to twist and warp, with numerous spatial rifts appearing all around. After casting the stone pagoda, Grandfather Shi San did not stop, but instead called it back and continued to smash it into the same spot. With the stone pagoda falling once more, the space before him shattered like a broken mirror, cracks spreading until it could no longer hold together, revealing the pitch-black outer space. This spatial rift was several feet wide. As it appeared, all the surrounding stones and trees were immediately sucked into it. Once coming into contact with the spatial rift, the stones and trees disintegrated instantly, and the gravitational pull was so strong that even several huge rocks around the pit were drawn towards it. Fortunately, the pit was protected by the light barrier released by Grandfather Shi San, which remained unharmed inside. Grandfather Shi San then turned back, glanced at the pit, then retracted the stone pagoda and stepped towards the rift. As Grandfather Shi San entered the spatial rift and disappeared, the rift slowly healed behind him. The surroundings again became tranquil. It was unknown how much time had passed before Lin Jing finally opened his eyes and came to from his meditative state. Once awakened, Lin Jing saw the stone token right before his eyes. While Grandfather Shi San was leaving, Lin Jing was actually aware of it. But at that time, having just passed the heavenly tribulation, it was a critical moment when he could not afford to be distracted. Clearly, Grandfather Shi San also knew this and did not disturb Lin Jing much, leaving behind only that stone token and a few words before he left. Lin Jing looked at the token before him, then reached out and summoned it into his hand. The token was white, resembling a special kind of stone, with the character for stone inscribed on the front. Now, the token was covered with a layer of dust, indicating that some time had passed since Grandfather Shi San had left. Lin Jing gently wiped the dust from the token and then stored it away. After putting away the token, Lin Jing looked around. The pit was truly enormous, big enough to accommodate an entire town. It was evident just how terrifying that final bolt of tribulation lightning had been. Then Lin Jing looked up at the sky. Through the mouth of the pit, he could even see the azure sky, but because he was within this deep pit, that sky felt so distant. With a thought, Lin Jing's divine sense surged forth. Next, Lin Jing took a step and vanished from the pit, appearing outside it in an instant. Earlier, that last bolt of tribulation lightning was too exaggerated. Even though Lin Jing had done his best to defend against it, he had even activated his bonus attachment. But that final bolt of Wu Psi Tribulation lightning nearly caused Lin Jing to lose his soul spirit. Lin Jing's entire body was also again grievously wounded, nearly obliterated. However, fortunately, Lin Jing ultimately withstood that bolt of tribulation lightning. The heavenly tribulation that Lin Jing faced was extremely exaggerated, to the extent that saying he went through a life-and-death experience wouldn't be an exaggeration. But the more formidable the heavenly tribulation, the greater the benefits one receives after surviving it. After passing through the heavenly tribulation, Lin Jing's cultivation didn't stay at the first level of the divinity transformation stage. Instead, just like when he passed the nascent soul heavenly tribulation, he bypassed the first and second levels and directly entered the third level of the divinity transformation stage. Only at the peak of the third level of the divinity transformation stage did he stop. And, During this tribulation, Lin Jing not only made a simple breakthrough in his divine transformation cultivation, but his body refining techniques also successfully fused with his intent, entering the martial Tao Divinity transformation. With these two enhancements combined, Lin Jing's true combat strength became immeasurable. One could say that if Lin Jing now were to encounter the old ancestor of the Nanming immortal sect in his prime, he would probably be able to kill him outright. It was no longer possible, like before, whereupon seeing him Lin Jing could only flee, and in the end, had to rely on the Yin spirits in the barren Forbidden Zone to resolve the threat.